going on, everybody? Welcome back to season 4 of the Project Manga Podcast, where we now cover Ayashimon, Mission Yozakura Family, Jujutsu Kaisen, Dr. Stone, My Hero, and One Piece. Week to week. Back this week covering Weekly Shonen Jump issues number 3 and 4. I'm your host, Eagle.
Knox.
And I'm Mel Yenis.
And before we get started, we would, of course, just like to extend a huge thank you to all of your continued support throughout the first 3 seasons of the Project Manga Podcast. We've, given these huge thanks before at the beginning of every season because we really do appreciate all that love and support that you all have garnered for us. It's like you really have continued to fuel us in this endeavor because without you all, and your support and following, that's the reason why we do it. So thank you so much. And as always, of course, take a look in that description box down below where you can find links to any and all of our individual social media accounts such as Twitter, online communities like Discord, places to consume the podcast as far as audio listening platforms. You can find the links to any there. Also, you can find links to support the podcast through our online shop or our Patreon. And with all that said, also while you're down there, you can find timestamps to conveniently navigate yourself throughout the video to avoid spoilers. And like the goddamn video, subscribe to the channel for more fire weekly content. Yes. And what a week in Jump.
Yeah, what a great week to come back to. Holy shit.
Yes.
Guess who's back?
Back again. Well, with that said, let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
Ayashimon. Oh, and we're switching up the coverage order, just, for those who care. We're going to be going from least amount of chapters to most amount of chapters now, going forward. So, beginning with Ayashimon, chapter 6.
Yes.
Do not say his name.
Such a good chapter. I feel like the last couple of chapters of Ayashimon have introduced a couple really cool things in the series.
Yeah.
Like, whereas, before, chapter 5, it was kind of just, learning about a little bit more about the world with each chapter, but really focusing just on Maruo and, always forget her name. I'm gonna have it memorized pretty soon, but, Maruo and the Deuteragonists, their relationship and, them kind of, going through their little hijinks from chapter to chapter as we learn about the world. But chapter 5 and 6 really gave us some cool concepts that let us know that this is going to be something that we're going to have a lot to talk about each week, especially if they're going to just keep introducing new characters and concepts the way they have the last couple of chapters. We got the Bureau of public safety or whatever.
The public safety.
Yeah.
They called themselves Omyo Bureau. So they're Omyoji sorcerers, humans.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're not Ayashimon. They're just regular people that have dipped into a secondary power system of some kind, using Shikigami to kind of, keep them on par with the Ayashimon so that they can keep them in check. You know what I mean? And because I was wondering when the first chapter came out, once we got the information about how there was some kind of, agreement that humans and, Ayashimon have, I was like, well, what's stopping the Ayashimon from just saying fuck it and doing whatever they want? Yeah, you know what I mean? There has to be some
raw ass public safety motherfuckers.
Yeah, there had to be some kind of, balance there, and we're starting to find out what it is.
I really like that parallel though, because it's because for me, reading about the Yakuza and how in a modern world they don't really function in the world, and this has been expressed in through My Hero Academia and stuff, where they're hey, this is an old style of thing. We can't get rid of crime completely, but we can give it a small area within it to work and have sort of a sanctioned black market area.
Yeah.
Right? And I like that parallel with the Ayashimon creatures, the yokai, because we live in a world where spirituality is effectively dead.
Yeah. For real.
Belief in the supernatural is very niche, and I like those kind of parallels in there, especially now that we've added the Omyo Bureau and the form of public safety.
Yeah.
So I was dang, that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I really I don't know. I feel a lot of reminiscence in the art, obviously from Jigo Karaku.
Of course.
And even in the character designs, like on page 4 in the top panel that we get of Dopo,
yeah.
I was just getting like big fucking Chobe vibes, dude.
Yeah,
Like
a
with
little
his
bit.
fucking, just with his character design and the way he looks, his like maniacal kind of batshit insane. I don't know.
Kind of
I just love-
glance,
yeah.
whatever it's called.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just love seeing that reminiscence in the art from like Jigo Karaku, like obviously because it's Yuji Kaku,
Yeah.
and that just, it feels so good to me, man.
Yeah, I love seeing his art, on a consistent, weekly basis again. And
Yeah.
the character
Even-
designs are still just as good, even though we're in a completely different time period in this story.
Even in some of like the grotesque like backgrounds on like the double spread on page 6 and 7, where we get all the artistic
Torture.
creations of torture
Yeah.
for the Ayashimon that he fucking has disliked over the years or whatever, who have wronged him.
Dude,
Yeah.
brutal
That
stuff.
that also was kind of really Jigo Karaku-esque, like
Yeah. And I like how we're like not, he's not really straying away from the darkness or, the
No.
more macabre themes just because he's in, the mainline magazine to Jump and not Jump Plus. If anything, this feels a little bit darker than
Than a lot of them, yeah. I mean, the only thing he's really strayed away from, I would say, is kind of the more explicit kind of,
Oh, sure.
There was like, if I recall correctly, there was kind of a little bit of nudity at some places, or
We got titties on the cover page right here on his little drawing. We got some nipple action going on in this
Yeah,
painting that he
it's got
did.
nipples
Also.
there.
well, that's a little different. than,
Yeah,
like,
definitely
characters,
different. It's not like a full blown sex scene. Bo Jujutsu. It's nothing like that.
Yeah,
from-
Bacho Juyo.
Yeah, we don't have
Oh my
any of that
God.
going on yet, but we got that really late in in Jigo Karaku anyway. That wasn't we didn't start talking about Bochu Jutsu until like 30 to 50.
I thought there was
chapters
some
in.
explicit scenes with what's her name, the main female character. The
Oh,
protagonist,
Sagiri. Yeah, there was some imagery
early
that showed
on, there
her
was
like
some-
naked sometimes. Yeah.
Some,
Yeah. I wonder.
Not anything too crazy. There wasn't any like berserk rape scene, nothing like that.
Nothing like that, absolutely not. Even though it was in like a Jump Plus, in the Jump Plus arm of things, where you can take things, like to the envelope a little bit
little
more.
further, yeah.
Jigo Karaku
Yeah.
never really needed to do that, but
Yeah,
but
I appreciate that, to be
yeah,
honest.
for sure. But yeah, man, like this is shaping up to be just as successful, as Jigo Karaku, if not more, because it's in the mainline magazine. And I think that Yuji Kaku has a really good idea of how this series is going to go. Nothing really feels too awkward in the beginning, which is where it usually would. You know what I mean? Like if you look at the history of things that have kind of been axed by chapter 6, 7, or even earlier, you'll start to feel those axy vibes, you know what I mean? And I just don't feel any inside of Ayashimon, and especially after these last 2 chapters, there's like some really interesting shit going on that I think will keep people coming back week to week, just because
and
of
the
that
fact-
mysterious element. Yeah.
The fact that they brought Yuji Kaku into the mainline magazine maybe is a good sign for the future, that they're maybe starting to lean towards the less generic or typical shonen aspects of storytelling, and maybe starting to lean into the more darker aspects and shit, because
You've been seeing that, I feel like. Shit, look at Jujutsu
Well,
Kaisen, look at fucking Chainsaw Man.
some of them, a couple here and there, but like, I mean, I feel like this series already in the first 6 chapters has kind of really been pushing the envelope of
Little
what
bit.
people see in the mainline magazine, as far as like the grotesque imagery,
Yes.
the like violent imagery,
Right.
splattering people's domes, fucking like all kinds of crazy shit. Like you see a little bit of some of that kind of stuff in like Jujutsu Kaisen, but it's not, I don't know, nearly as like kind of gory, I want to say, as it has been in this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not
Usually
recalling
in,
some of the
like-
gory moments in. I know Chainsaw Man was really gory
Was really
at times.
big on
a
that.
lot of,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And
that was
I-
just kind of part of the theme at times, with like the big, what the fuck was the giant like baby face devil with the gut tornado on the
Tornado?
outside?
Typhoon. His name
Typhoon.
is
Typhoon,
Yeah.
yeah. All the guts around on the outside, like that was really just part of some of the grotesque
I
imagery
love
of
that
that.
one.
But
That was
Yeah, I think
fantastic.
Ayashimon is a good example of what you're talking about right now. Now we just have so many examples that kind
Jujutsu,
of prove your
Chainsaw,
point. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I feel like they balance it off by having so many of like the prevailing like classic shonen stuff, like you know, Don 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 and
Don
Black
Don Don, yeah.
Clover, and
Yep.
then they have like really goofy stuff like you know, Help Me Roboco, Sakamoto Days. So they have a lot of gag stuff
Hey,
too
I
with
hear a lot
Marshall
of
and
good
all that
stuff about Sakamoto Days, though.
It's pretty
Yeah.
good. I
That
like
shit
it. It
looks like it's
also gets
bussin'.
it
Today,
also
on
gets a
stream,
little
they were
dark.
telling me to read it.
Yeah, I
It
remember
also
that.
gets a little dark too. So like
Yeah.
it dips in, but it's mostly like some gag stuff, and it's been doing some like high impact action stuff. So that's been
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
It's a nice little bounce. It flips back and forth. We'll see if it kind of falls into the same traps as Mashal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But because it's grounded in a pseudo reality,
Yeah.
it probably won't have those same problems.
Yeah.
Um,
Now
but like
that Eagle kind of brought it up, I'm trying to like think of like how they handle, because I mean like Weekly Shonen Jump has always had at least one, you know, series in the magazine that kind of tries to lean towards a little bit darker, away from like the traditional kind of vibe of earlier, like more like early 2000s shonen that kind of shaped our perception of what the magazine is like over here in the West. And usually like whenever they have to cut someone's head off, it's always like, you know, angled in the drawing to where like you know it's happening but you don't see it, you know what I mean, like shit like that. Whereas like nowadays with things like Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, and now going into like Ayashimon and stuff, like they're starting to show more of that gore. They're not going out of their way to try to hide it because it's a, you know, a young boy magazine, but still trying to let you know that that kind of stuff is happening in the story. They just seem to kind of just be wearing it on their sleeve now almost because of the success of, you know, some of the more darker ones that they did let through, you know what I mean? At least is what it feels like to me. So I love where we're at in Weekly Shonen Jump right now. I'll take stories like this all day, you know what I mean? Especially if we have, you know, other series kind of padding it to keep base, you know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
gaggier stories are the more wholesome ones that don't really lean into it, so it feels good.
I feel like My Hero almost works as a hybrid in that sense, where like while staying true to some of the really mainline and thematically regular concepts and within shonen, like it does really try and push the envelope also in some areas where it dabbles in some of those darker themes, darker, like, you know, I
especially
don't know, just
socially.
motivations, yeah, socially,
Yeah.
social anxiety wise, like social angst, teen angst, stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Plus, you get a lot of like horror imagery almost, you know, in My
Yeah.
Hero Academia that kind of like fills that gap a little bit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it might not be crazy grotesque stuff like all the time. I mean, like coming out of Shigaraki versus Star and Stripe, I mean, he was pretty much a zombie that entire fight, and it looked really crazy. But a lot of the other times, it's just really high, detailed, scary faces. You know, a lot. You know, inside of My Hero Academia, that kind of gives it that vibe without taking it there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Honestly, something that I've noticed, not necessarily true in Chainsaw Man, but
Mhm.
typically for like Jujutsu Kaisen and especially for Ayashimon,
Yeah.
all the grotesque violence is done to yokai, like
Right.
non-humans.
Right.
And
So far.
that's kind of been the thing that they've kind of like avoided mostly.
Yeah.
So like they're, you know, maintaining the idea of sanctity of life, and these are monsters, so it's okay for you to, you know, have bad things happen to them.
Yeah, that's easy.
Like
Like if it's a robot, tear it apart. If it's a, you know, a monster or even just like an enemy that deserves it, yeah, fuck them up. You know what I mean? Like even
you
if
know,
they're
yeah,
human, almost if they're just that detestable, you might be able to get away with some gore against characters
yeah.
like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean,
So
like, you never know with Ayashimon, man, because it's like we got information, I think, in this chapter that it's like totally okay to kill Ayashimon because they'll stay alive and their spirit will live on. Like, you don't have to, like, you probably just have to completely
outside of the
yeah,
duel anyway.
yeah,
Oh, outside of the
they'll
if
If
reintroduce
you
they
kill them outside of the one-on-one, yeah, their body like turns to cash, and then their spirit like goes dormant for 99 years, and then they can take another vessel.
which like feels like
Um,
Jujutsu Kaisen inside of like curses too a little bit. I think that
Yeah.
they say that in Jujutsu Kaisen, like after Jogo and the curse family dies, that they say, "Oh, it's all good. We'll meet up in 100 years again." You know what I mean, or
Yeah.
whatever they say in there. So that's
I do
cool.
like that idea
But
because it's
Yeah,
like like 99 years and then it transitions to 100, like the
yeah,
idea of like 3 being a very core prime number, as well, like 3 digits. That's
Yeah.
cool. Like I like the idea of reincarnation for bad guys.
Oh yeah.
But that's why in this chapter, when they were kind of in the 1v1, and then Buddy got like just or not in this chapter. I think it might have been
The
last
prior
chapter.
one.
The prior one. They were in the 1v1, and Buddy just got like crushed by the fucking stone when the thing fell.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they were like,
Yeah.
oh shit, his
Dude.
body turned to money. I guess he's dead now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Dude,
Yeah.
that
see you
was
in 99
funny.
years, bruh.
Yeah.
Dude,
You know?
I'll pour one out, but your corpse is gonna pay for it. You
Yeah.
know?
Hey, grab that, go buy some more booze for the boss. Hey, boss. Yeah, right, boss?
You're the boss
Yeah.
now. You the boss
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, what's up?
Maybe if we suck over the boss now, he'll
They're all
play
just
around
like-
more
Y'all are some fucking
crazy
shady
people.
motherfuckers, man. Some flaky motherfuckers, bro.
Right.
And he's like, no, we're demons. This is our nature. No, I really
Going
like
back
that.
into like the actual events of the chapter though,
Yes,
I love
yes,
how it
yes.
starts off with
Hashishime.
Hashishime like kind of being taken captive by this guy. Lets you know, like, I think this is a great introduction for Dopo actually, because one, we're already kind
Why
of
has he got my girl hemmed up like with her shirt open? Like, chill
oh,
out, bro. Like,
yeah,
hey,
I guess I didn't even really notice that. But
yeah.
it's definitely what's going on there. I wonder why that is.
I feel like
Close my girl's shirt up, man.
Yeah.
What you doing? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Continue on your. on
Oh,
your
sure,
point.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, I just think it was a great introduction for Dopo, man, because it's like we
Yeah.
are already kind of attached to Hashihime from like the previous chapter where we were hanging out with her pretty much the whole chapter while she
Hashihime.
was guarding, you know, that area that they were trying to get into. We know that she has a connection to old girl. God, no, I need to get her name. I'm sorry, like I have to know what her name is.
But yeah, no, it's definitely a great just introduction of his
It's
level of
Urara.
influence, right? away.
Urara. All right, great. Yeah.
Urara.
So we know that she has like a link to Urara, and so like we already kind of care about the characters. So starting the chapter off with her hemmed up and in a very terrible situation while you introduce this antagonist or this villain inside of Dopo, knowing that he's very high up in his specific food chain, or maybe just the food chain of Ayashimon in general, we can't really tell yet, but he seems like a big deal. He's got subordinates. Hashihime is powerless against him seemingly, and he's just maniacal, and he just looks like a bad fucking time, you know what I mean, which is exactly what
he's the
Yujikaku was
new-
trying to go for here, and I think he stuck the landing on it.
yeah, he's the new Enma syndicate
Yeah.
head.
That's
Yep.
right. That's right.
So
Okay.
he's replaced Urara's dad.
Yeah.
So
right.
I like looking up names. Like ever since like Naruto, when I found that Kakashi meant scarecrow, I've always like had a big fan. I really try to find out like what the names mean, and like
Yeah.
we had that character Uwan in like chapter 1,
Mm-hmm.
and his name is a straight up yokai's name. And so I was like, okay, well these are all Yashimon. I need to kind of like look up what they're doing about.
Oh,
I
so
looked
they're
up
the
Dopo.
names are linked to like historical, like real world
Real
folklore
yokai.
yokai from like our actual history. That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
Uwan
Okay.
is, but Dopo is not.
Okay.
Dopo Akari. Dopo means one who walks alone, and Akari is red plum. And then I have a theory that there is a famous one called Akateko, which means red-handed child.
Okay.
Oh.
And it's described as the red hand of a small child descending from a tree. It is accompanied by a specter of a young woman, who I believe is Mizuha, at the base of the tree, whose beauty lulls unsuspecting passerby into a trance or fever state. And then when he grabs...
So you're gonna have to help me real quick. So like, who
Yeah.
who do these names belong to in this chapter?
Okay, so I believe... So Dopo Akari is the big boss that we get introduced.
Okay.
And
Oh, we got it. We
there's-
got the last name on that. We got Dopo Akari or whatever. Or we got
Yes.
both names. Okay. Okay.
They speak about it, and
Okay.
That was beforehand, I
on
believe,
page
before this
8,
chapter.
9,
Okay.
on page 8-9, he talks like, hey, we can do that to Mizuha, right? We can keep your lungs intact. There's a girl.
Mizuha
has
is the one with the
Mizuha.
crazy hair.
Yep.
Her
Yep,
name
yep.
means leaf in auspicious. And so the Akateko is about a tree, at the base of a tree, that will lure people into a trance or fever state, and then the hand will grab the traveler by the neck and rip them apart limb by limb. They travel in pairs. And so
Oh, so
I
that's this
think
other
that was,
big dude with the hand then.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's just Dopo and Mizuha because Akateko is a paired yokai. The one the hand, and Mizuha is like the female spirit part of that aspect. Because when on page 9, do not say his name in front of me.
Yeah.
His hand grabs her by the face, and
Ah,
the idea that the Akateko like rips things apart from limb, and then his name is like Red Plum, so
sure.
as opposed to Red Hand,
Yeah.
and the the Akateko is supposed to be like a child spirit, and the way Dopo acts about things, like he definitely doesn't give off mature vibes, right? He's
Right.
like, gangsters should be flashy and fearless
Yeah.
and whatever, and we're gonna go run wild and throw tantrums because we feel like it, you know? So
Yeah.
like these are the reasons why I think that is an Akateko, even though their names aren't specifically that. That's just me
Sure.
spitballing out into the universe early on in the series. You
Yeah.
can quote me on it and
Yeah.
laugh at me later.
No, that's cool though, because I mean, like when you were first talking about this hand, and you were talking about how Mizuha or whatever inside of the lore you were looking into is always in a pair. You know what I mean? I automatically just thought that this dude on the next page on 12 and 13,
Oh yeah, big hand boy.
just a gigantic hand coming down and crushing him, and like I could see this dude and Mizuha being that pair, according to kind of what
Ooh.
you're saying, you know, in your research. So like that's the first thing that I thought about because I was already on the
Yeah.
page when you were bringing it up too. But I mean, you're right. Dopo does grab her straight, you know, on the mouth with his hands. So was there like a specific link for the pair and the hand stuff that you saw inside of your research for Dopo and Mizuha specifically, or were
Um,
you
I'm really just kind of combining them a little
sure?
bit
Yeah.
in my mind because their hair is like the exact same color,
Ah, sure.
you know, and
Yeah.
they're roughly the same build. Like they seem to work together. Um, and there was this moment where like he was talking about stuff. He's like, "We can do that, right?" And like, I don't think there was any specific emphasis on the we, but like
Hmm.
she was kind of like in the shadows and then just kind of there.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure because like I
No.
couldn't
Yeah.
find a yokai in time to like really fit one, but
Yeah,
then
for
the
sure.
Akateko really caught my imagination, and
It's
you
tight,
know,
man.
I saw clues where there might be them, and it made sense in the end. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
convinced
definitely,
myself.
yeah, I definitely like where you're going with it. And like this is the kind of series where that doesn't feel like you're reading too much into things. Like Yuji Kaku is known from Jigo Karaku for doing research like that and incorporating it into his narrative. You know what I mean? So you get all kinds of symbolism and all kinds of, you know, links back to historical, you know, folklore and things like that. So it's definitely not outside of the realm of possibility for a
Yeah,
writer like Yuji Kaku. So that's a really cool.
they both have hair in their eyes too, like
Sure.
specifically,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Ooh, I
because
can't
he
wait
has
till we
that.
get a little bit more on that, bro. Because
Yeah.
if that does end up being a thing and we get that confirmation, then that's just gonna make looking deeper into the series feel that much better in the future
Oh
because
yeah.
we'll have evidence of that being a thing. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
like I'm excited for that. But I thought it was so tight how while he's like kind of making his statement, you know, and threatening to start torturing you know,
Hashime.
Hashihime with this after this like amazing kind of like monologue about how like Ayashimon don't fear the same things that regular people fear or that the audience would
Hmm.
fear because they're essentially effectively immortal almost, you know, to a certain degree. So like how do you scare them? And he really painted that picture so well for Hashihime and the reaction that we get on like page 8 of her heart you know beating and her sweating and shaking and trembling really sold that. And then it goes into the public safety dude pulling up and freezing everybody again except for Dopo, and that's just always a cold entrance when it's just freeze and then he's like, hey, what's going on? I got a
Hey, Mizu
subpoena or whatever the fuck it is, you know.
Mizuha broke free of the freeze though too.
That's
Came in his
right.
Yeah,
neck.
first.
Yeah, that's
She
right.
broke out first.
Yeah,
And
and that was
then
really cool too because I thought that was like when the first time that kind of happened, and like everybody was under the effect and there was just no breaking out of it. It really set the precedent that these public safety guys are wildly powerful, and that's going to be like a huge hurdle that has to be overcame in some kind of way that it doesn't seem like Maruo has the strength to just punch out of. So like that was really interesting to get last chapter, and then in this chapter when he comes here again and does the same thing and it seems just as effective, but then his subordinates start breaking out one by one and he seems really surprised, like you're not supposed to be able to do that, or at least it's very rare. So already we're getting these crazy, you know, power level kind of establishing, you know, things inside of characters away from Maruo, you know what I mean? So like that's really interesting as well in this chapter.
Yeah.
Oh man, the dude with the big hand comes down and crushes him, and I was like, because like you see, he's literally just like literally scrunched, and I was like, oh my god! But then it was like a substitution jutsu or some shit, and he like
Shikigami.
yeah, he like left a little like paper thing there, you know, or whatever. But I wonder why it showed him actually getting crushed that way. Is that just for us, or is that like what actually happened, and then this Shikigami has like another kind of level to it to where I don't even know how to explain it. I just I guess I just assumed
like a ninth life kind of thing where it's just like, well, I'm dead, and then I magically like respawn at wherever I placed a different thing. I don't know, but like I feel like it had enough. Like the Shikigami is a good enough copy of a person that it has blood and guts and then disappears.
Oh,
I feel like maybe he did. It is some type of rebirth technique, because the thing you see on in the crater is shaped like an angel, and you get not like these speed lines going up, but like almost on page 12, the middle panel of the crush.
Yeah,
you get like this thing going up out of his body, almost like a new, you know, soul or vessel.
Oh, I just figured that was like the motion of the hand coming down. I didn't think that was going up. I figured it was just going down to
I thought that was
the motion.
A downward.
I thought maybe it was kind of.
It could be, yeah. You really never know. That's definitely like a new thought. You know what I mean? That I hadn't like considered, especially because you have this paper that definitely is shaped like an angel, at least to my eyes. That makes sense. Yeah.
But you're probably right about that. That being the speed lines for the hand coming down.
Right.
Oh, that's funny. I just realized, like, if we do that, what if Big Hand is just the Akateko and it is Mizuha, but like in combination with the big boy, and Dopo's just some random other thing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you were going into it.
No, I mean, it could go either way. We don't know.
Yeah, we definitely don't know, and that's why it's so fun to cover a series this young. You know what I mean? Because there's just so many questions that we're going to have in conversation, while at the same time new characters, new techniques, new concepts are constantly being introduced to flesh out the world around us. So this is like peak, you know, conversational ability almost in the beginning of a series, and hopefully it keeps that energy throughout, which we're kind of hoping that it does. I don't think that we'll have to worry with someone like Yuji Kaku. He kept the conversation flowing throughout our Jiko Kuraku reviews, so you know, all the way to the end, you know what I mean? So he knows how to pack content into 20-ish pages every time. So love that
man. I really dig the like clothes that they have. They just look all so sharp. Like Hashihime, like I like that her hair plays into parallels of her suit and all the stripes that she has. I love Dopo's like rose aesthetic.
Yeah, man.
The little old man who's just like, hey now.
He's the drippiest one. Look at this suit, bro.
He's got the 3-piece, baby.
Yeah, dude, and all
it looks like an alligator
suit. Hard. Yeah, it does look like kind of scaly like that. Yeah.
Dude, little mole man, little Hans Luger mole man. Just yes, I am fashion.
So did they ever? I can't remember what the envelope. What like the contents of the envelope were?
It was photos of
that's right.
Mauro.
Yeah, absolutely. So now they know what they look like. This is giving us I like how organic the flow of the narrative kind of is here, because it's like we know that eventually they are going to be gaining enemies, and just their presence inside of this world being undocumented and kind of like having like a weird vibe in the world of Ayashimon is enough to have a gang leader like this kind of like take notice to that and be like, I want to know a little bit more about what's going on with that. It's like, what are these people doing in my turf, in my area? I run this shit now. We want all the anomalies gone, or potentially converted to our side. So it makes sense that they'd want to look into the main characters. I don't like feeling like villains are just injected for the sake of opposing them. It has to like come kind of like organically. And the public safety people were already looking into Maruo and Urara for similar reasons, and they have the intel, I'm assuming, inside of their operation to always like have feelers out for anything that happens, because they have to monitor things to make sure that all the laws are being respected. So the public safety coming in last chapter to confront Urara makes sense, and then them coming back to tell the Ayashimon what's going on also makes sense. And then now that the Ayashimon have the information, now they're targeting them, it all just feels good, you know what I mean, as far as the conflict building goes, you know what I mean? So
it's got a lot of it follows the story logic and like is internally consistent.
Yeah.
Because I like how the Omyo Bureau is like, we can't just get rid of them for no reason. Like, using the Shikigami is a punishable offense if we don't have a good reason for using it.
Yeah.
So why don't we just give out this information and get the Yashimon to take care of them for us?
Yes.
They're bloodthirsty little cretins anyway.
Right.
They'll thin each other out.
Yeah. It kind of is like one of those situations where it feels like everybody sucks. You know what I mean? Like there's no, like nothing feels like they're trying to introduce any kind of like
there's no
altruistic themes. Yeah, or
except for Maruo.
Yeah, Maruo is just like young, dumb, naive, like, and he'll probably be the vehicle for like any kind of remotely positive aspects of the story. But other than that, like everybody seems to just be a different kind of shitty, which is like always cool. Yeah.
I like that one where it's just like, in a world of bad apples, the Maruo just kind of stands above, dumb as hell, and ready to fight.
Yeah. And I love how he goes into, Dopo, thinking about the other areas of Ayashimon factions, and like we're really getting kind of like a hierarchy of maybe not hierarchy, but just like an establishing of rivalries inside of different gangs inside of Ayashimon, and like how that's going to create conflict, because it's not always just going to be Maruo versus whoever. You also have in the background, maybe the B-Stars don't like, the Todoroki Alliance. Maybe, whatever combination of it that it is, we'll probably get multiple kinds of conflicts in different forms outside of just whoever is opposing Maruo at any point in time. So like that's really cool to think about too, is that it's going to really feel like internal clan politics, you know what I mean? Something akin to like the Breaker inside of like the way that schools kind of war with each other and have beef and histories with each other that go back however long. That's always really interesting for world building and just like tension in general, because you never know who could show up for whatever reason. You know what I mean? If Maruo's going up against like the B-Stars Club or whatever for whatever reason, and then he's on his back foot or something, and then the Todoroki Alliance pulls up because they heard that the B-Stars people were fucking around in this area and it's just convenient like that, that's going to feel a lot better than just last minute saves for random reasons. You know what I mean? Like as long as it links back to some kind of historical beef or some kind of history related storytelling for the characters involved, then that's always going to feel better than just, oh man, you showed up at the nick of time just because you happened to be walking down the street and I needed your help. You know what I mean? It's just things like that that it seems to be kind of setting up that I'm like really excited for.
I think I really like that there's 5 main gangs, which includes public safety. So there's the human, classical, corrupt cops section. There's the B-Stars, which is going to be like, pretty boy swag, kind of like hosts club. If any of our listeners have read Shinjuku Swan, you guys know exactly what kind of like Yakuza gangsters I'm thinking of when I think of the B-Stars. The Todoroki Alliance to me screams like motorcycle gang for some reason.
It feels like that to me too.
Yeah, like old school, like just giant pompadour fucking motorcycle club, Tokyo Manji Revenger style. And then Kori Hotels just seems like the classic, like, we have money, We have hotels. Our
Yeah.
hotels are bugged. We blackmail the shit out of people having affairs.
Classic mafia
Politicians and
shit.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, where it's like it feels like that. And then Enma Syndicate is like the classic gangster. They're just like, all right, cool. We do protection rackets. You gotta respect us. You gotta fear us. You know, that
Yes.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I
Top of the
like there's
food
5
chain shit.
factions, lots of
Cool.
interactions. You can definitely get like enemy of my enemy is my
I
friend.
was
kind of
literally
stuff.
just gonna say that enemy of my enemy. The Corey Hotels guy looks like a combination of Draken and Kisaki.
Oh
Eh.
damn! Yeah, dude. Wow, that's
Full
a
side
great
swoop.
amalgam. Yeah. Wow.
Oh
Love
man,
that.
I'm really excited about that. And I like that they're like, hey, you know what? We were given this information, but I'm gonna make it look like it's my idea.
Yeah. Yeah, straight up. It's like tells you so much about the character too. Whenever you get shit like that, it's like narcissism, fucking just straight up like psychopathy, psycho.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
it's
shit like
very
that, insanity.
psychological, the
Like,
interactions with this one.
yeah, you know, like I feel like we just learned so much about him in one chapter without it feeling too densely focused on Dopo specifically, which finding that balance in like an introduction is just so fire too, because it's like we got a lot of world building and a lot of like outside of Dopo stuff to think about and chew on in this chapter too, but just also just a brilliant introduction for his character. Like I'm already worried as shit about him and also wildly interested to learn more about him at the same time. So
Yeah.
stuck the landing on that.
Dopo, I liked Dopo's interrogation style and the fact that he just acted as if they were already guilty and he knew everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Psychopathic. That's the fucking
Yeah,
way
that's
that I
a
wanted to
really
word that.
good way of like getting
Yeah.
under their skin and just like I don't know if he actually has like a supernatural ability to detect lies or if he's just bluffing the entire time.
Oh, damn, that's a good question
Like
too.
I was like, does he have the ability to like, oh yeah, I know you're lying. Oh, you've lied to me. You're disrespecting me. You know, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Right.
Is he being sincere
Or maybe it's
about
just like, you know, a while, you know, like just assumptions because you're in my dome. I've already taken, you know, I've already
I've
gone out
already
of my
decided.
way to gather you and bring you here because I
Yeah.
felt something is off, and now you're not giving me the information I think you have, so I'm just automatically going to call you a liar because like I'm right about everything
Yeah.
that I think is
Yeah,
true.
it
Yeah.
could be that. It could
Yeah.
be that or not, or just like I made my decisions about this entire situation.
Yeah.
What you tell me is actually unimportant
Right.
unless it benefits me.
Exactly.
And it's just like,
Right.
what are you, dude? I
Yeah.
don't know.
I love it, man. I can't
Uh,
wait. I can't wait for the continuation of this series, bro. It's like the first thing I read every week now. Just because I'm like
it's
that. I'm like that ready to see what it has to offer. You know what I mean?
it's oh man, I'm waiting for chapter 10. I want to see how it pops off by then.
Like by the end of the first volume type shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see the end of the volume. I
Yeah.
want to see where we're sitting at because you know what? In my experience doing like the little book clubs with you
Yeah.
recently, like
Yeah.
the end of the first volume is
Mhm.
like usually such a banger cliffhanger.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I want to see that. Then I'll
Yeah.
be like, my first course is complete.
Yes. Hell yeah, man. I don't think I had anything else for Ayashimon this week though.
I think that's about all I had as well.
Nice
Nope,
chunky
straightforward.
combo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that, I think we can go ahead and jump into our kind of introductory general coverage on Mission Yozakura Family. So
Yeah.
it'll just be kind of a general discussion on how we feel about the series overall,
Holistically.
as a whole. So,
Yeah.
yeah. With that being said, how do you guys feel about Mission Yozakura Family, man?
I fucking love Mission Yozakura Family, dude. I'm so glad this is on the lineup right now. I feel like this is like one of my favorite things that I'm reading now, and it could be just like the recency of me catching up to it like super recently, but I'm loving everything that it's doing, man. Like
Yeah.
characters, art,
I-
action, themes, everything is
It has
bussin'.
a lot going
Yeah.
for it that's going really well.
Yeah.
Like I think it's right up there with My Hero Academia and what you were talking about in the previous segment, where it covers a lot of like goofy moments, but also covers a lot of dark, sinister stuff. It touches on body horror without getting too explicit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an emotional all rounder. like My Hero, where it's like, yeah, it'll make you sad, it'll make you happy, it'll go, aw, sweet, adorable,
Yeah.
and also like, oh, that's
They're
gruesome.
like, oh shit,
Yeah, oh shit, things are heating up,
Yeah.
escalating.
Yeah.
So like I feel like it's hitting that nice prime middle mark that like Shonen Jump is trying to like maintain within its equilibrium.
Yes.
Like I would say those two series are like dead center. Whereas like a Yashimon, Chainsaw Man are gonna be on like the far right, heavy, grotesquerie, and on our like left hand, we have like Mashal and like Black Clover and like Help Me Roboco,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where it's a little goofier.
Right. I think the themes are balanced like beautifully inside of Mission Yozakura Family, because like you get a lot of the slice of life, mixed in with like international super spy action shit, you know what I mean? So like usually I think it's a good combination how balanced it is on those two fronts, because one, it's a story about family, and I think that they nail that out of the park, especially in the beginning of the series where everything is very I don't want to say monster of the week, but it's like an entire story in one chapter. You know what I mean? Like depending on whatever they're trying to focus on, whether that's Taiyo specifically, Taiyo and Mutsumi, Taiyo and whatever combination of other siblings, like where they follow them around for a day exclusively. Like all of that stuff works so well, because when it goes into the international super spy shit and you get all of this action and combat, the fact that it takes those breaks away from that to establish like slice of life character building, because that is one of the bigger strengths of slice of life stories, is that they're very character driven almost entirely, because it's focusing on the lives of people doing mundane things a lot of the time. So like when you get that kind of character work in a series that leans into action as much as this, it makes those high octane action moments hit a little bit harder than it would in other stories that don't take the time to dial it back and focus on the characters in more slice of life scenarios. You know what I mean? Like I feel like these characters feel so much realer, so much faster, in a story like Mission Yozakura Family, because it is broken up that way. So I think that that's like an incredible balance on that front.
I feel like something that lends to what you're talking about is the fact that it's like it's not so much monster of the week. It's like it works really well because it's more so like mission of the week, right? And it's not like we're beating like monster after monster and you kind of got to keep scaling things up and up and up as far as the power scale goes. It's like you're getting these more realistic, just like kind of spy missions where we're like infiltrating this to attain this information, or like kind of doing this to break up this operation.
Right.
And they can focus more on development of like the relationship between like Taiyo and Mutsumi, like you said, or like development of Taiyo as a character and his skill set as like an assassin / spy, or like development of the relationship between Taiyo and the family members, which is something that lends to why I think the characters can feel a lot more real, a lot faster, because we get a lot of emotional interactions with them, a lot of character interactions with them that show kind of what they're about, and a lot of learning lessons from them when it comes to them teaching Taiyo kind of stuff about assassinship, spyship.
Yeah.
And we get those really cool slice of life elements where, the development of the relationship, the marriage, kind of both of their devotion to it. We get some really cute moments like the mission where they're going to the theme park. And Taiyo's like, fuck, I'm the one that's standing out here. I'm all alone. And all of a sudden Mutsumi pops up like, sorry, the line was long. I came. And he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And I also think that the author does a super, like, really, really fantastic job of using Taiyo and Kyoichiro as an impetus for like the comedic elements of the story. Right?
Yes.
Because, and it feels really organic, because Taiyo, the way it's utilized with him is like just the perspective of a regular person,
fish out of water is fun.
Getting thrown into this spy lifestyle, having to adjust and learn in it, and like the tasks he's confronted with, and he'll just be like, or like, or when they go into the black market area under the mall and he's like creeping out of the elevator, like, it's sketchy as fuck down here. What the fuck, yo? And like, just that kind of shit. And then Kyoichiro, when you get moments of like when Taiyo was getting the the black tea behind everyone's back. Like Mutsumi
Yes.
and Ayako thought that he was cheating.
Yeah, that was so
Uh,
good. Oh my
and
god.
Kyoichiro was like about to murder him, and then it was like revealed by the two that came in that he was doing the whole plot to get the black tea behind Kyoichiro's back
Yeah.
because he wouldn't drink it if he knew it was from him, and
Yeah.
and then he's like he was doing it for my sake, and he's like killing, like fucking scratching, killing his face with the fucking wires, like
Yeah.
just
He's
I
like,
think there's
that
some
was so thoughtful.
Yeah.
I
It's like,
hate it.
yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
it's like I want to hate this kid and I want him to give me reasons to hate him, but he's just so good that it's like becoming harder and harder for Kyoichiro to keep that energy. But another
love
thing
that.
that sorry,
comedic
keep going,
elements.
yeah.
Well, and the last thing really is just like another, just really organic comedic moments between the family members that feel really, really natural, like
Yeah.
something that would happen between a family. None
Yeah.
of it feels like
Super
inorganically like
stereotypical.
inserted or
Yeah.
like just superficial or any of that.
Yeah.
Like
It
not
avoids
to
trope.
Marshall. In Marshall, there's some comedic moments. There's some comedic moments that feel inorganic and just like kind of superficial, like forced. So far, for me at least, in Yozakura Family, none of the comedic moments have felt inorganic or forced at all. They all feel supernatural,
Yeah.
super right.
It feels like
And
they're based on real people with actual
Yeah.
personalities, like people that the mangaka like knows. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I love when they can make it feel that way. You know what I mean? And the spy
Yeah.
shit like doesn't always have to be one thing that I wanted to just say that I'm really impressed with inside of Mission Yozakura Family is that when it is going into heavy action, high octane spy shit, that makes sense there, obviously, because that's just the job. But
Yep.
when it dials it back for more slice of life things, it's not completely separated from the spy world, just so that you can have wholesome family storytelling. The creator Gondaira found a really great way to weave the spy shit into the mundanity as well. Like they'll be doing
Yeah.
completely like not action related things and family building, character building things, but are always have their spy skills, right there being used in those moments too, like for trivial day-to-day things, you know what I mean? So you never forget they're spies, but it's not always action, you know what I mean, when they have to be spies, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
Yeah.
it keeps like everything elevated and everything is focused on, like you never veer too far away from any certain theme, you know what I mean, or anything like that.
It's
None of the themes
woven
take
well
away from
together.
others. Yeah.
The part that I like is because the characters feel so fleshed out and there's like they get to do the heist, which is great, but like the downtime before and after the slice of life stuff, by having the characters be fleshed out, you understand the characters better, and so when you see them acting in their specialty during the heist, Ocean's Elevening their way through this stuff, you get to
Yes.
see, you're like, oh, I already know plenty about these characters, so I can see exactly why they're doing this
Yeah.
outside of their speciality. Like,
Oh
I can
yeah.
see how their speciality is like determining their approach, but I can see why they're doing it, and then as like when plans meet reality and
Yes.
things go to haywire, and they're like, okay, we need to do damage control and stuff. You can see why those characters are acting the way they are.
And their
And
personalities just fit their combat
It
types
flows.
like so well. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Like they feel like such thoroughly, thought of and created and fleshed out characters that it's like at any point in time, whether they're showing you their personality or showing you their spy capabilities, like there's almost like no separation. You know what I mean? Like every single thing that Futaba does and says fits in with her fighting style inside and outside of combat. Same with Shinzo, same with Kengo, same with like everybody. It's like whatever they're doing, it's just always on 10 according to like the characters that the character that has been given to us and has been continued to be developed and progressed. It just always fits with whatever they're doing. You know what I mean? Like even down to their insecurities outside of combat, when we're getting real, just character focused slice of life shit, you feel all of the elements of their character at all times. You know what I mean? And that's just like such a cool thing to feel in the series, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a like artistic thing that I kind of like, and it might be vaguely spoilers, but like
I mean, this the segment for it. Yeah, you
This
know
is the
what I mean.
segment for, hey, we're
This isn't
111
a
chapters in,
yeah.
guys.
This isn't a
There's
why
gonna
you
be a
should
little
read
bit.
Yozakura. Yeah, this is like a
It
yeah.
might take you longer than a week,
Yeah,
so catch on up.
yeah,
But I like that the idea of family resemblance
yeah,
runs through the series because
right,
like they have like this superhuman gene, right? And
Yes.
then that carries through the generations, and I quite like that because I'm always a big fan of that kind of thing. And it's a big trope within like Japanese stuff. Like
yeah,
your lineage matters about
right,
who you are. Like you see it in Naruto with the Uchiha. You see it in like Hunter x Hunter, where everyone's like, "Gone, your dad is king.
yeah,
Wow, you must be destined for great things." Oh,
type shit.
Kahlua, right? You're a
Yeah,
Zoldyck, you
yeah,
got this shit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
so like I like that the Yozakura thing is like, hey, we are, really focused on our family. Our bloodline is very coveted. We protect it dearly. And then, in addition to it, characters resemble characters. So,
yeah,
like if you take a look at some like old ancestors,
yeah,
one looks exactly like Kengo, but
yeah,
a woman.
right.
One of the ancestors, one of the parents, Momo, just looks like an old version of Koichiro.
Yeah, and we know that like the one from like since we're talking about like the current arc that we're in
Hmm.
right now, the first or the second head, you have Tsubomi as like the first head, then the second head was the one that resembled Futaba a great deal, and even like was the one that
Hmm.
we found out like kind of cultivated her fighting style using Aiki, and then now we're
Hmm.
going into this more recent one where it's clearly this one is based on Kengo. So I think that as we go through this arc, all of the previous heads are going to end up resembling each of the individual Yozakura family members that we've been following, a significant amount. You know what I mean? I'm super
Yeah.
excited to see like the Nanao based, head or prior head of the
Yeah,
Yozakura family. You know what I
dude,
mean?
that's
And the
gonna be
Shinzo
insane.
based one, like as we continue this arc, I'm like so excited about that since we have established a
Yeah.
pattern here coming from what was it, Niname, I think is the one that's like Futaba, and then now this one here that's like Kengo. We'll just keep going down the line probably throughout the rest of this
Yeah.
arc, leading us to Father, which is
Yeah.
gonna
And
be
how
really
many
fucking
siblings
cool.
is there? Is there 9?
There's
No,
five
there's
boys
6,
and well, it's five
7.
boys including Tayo, and then there's 3 girls, including
There's
Mutsumi.
So 8 or 9.
like Tayo married into the family. There were
Right,
7 initial family members,
right,
and then they added Tayo, and then the dog,
and Goliath, and
and
now we
then the
have
little, and then
Ayaka or whatever.
and the pseudo daughter
Yeah.
between the married couple
Yeah.
because they are still children.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh, it's just Ayaka
yeah,
is
it's
like the
just I.
maid chick, right? Yeah,
Yeah. Oh God, she's. Oof.
yeah. She's fucking wild.
Spoilers. People be crazy in this series.
Yeah, straight up. So who's you
They
guys'
go
favorite sibling?
wild.
Who's your guys' favorite sibling, do you think?
Oh, you know what? I really like Shinzo, to be honest,
Nice,
and Nanao.
nice.
Nanao, Shinzo are probably like my top 2,
Hell yeah.
um, because I like Nanao's style, and I just like the silly bucket head with the drawing face on it, and like, just like how kind of like pure he is, despite how grotesque everything else about them is.
Right, right.
Um, and then for me, Shinzo, the idea like he's like this tough macho, knows how to use weapons, but it all stems from like this crybaby phase he has as a child, and I
Yeah,
think that's the hilarious subversion of that trope.
yes.
Um, so those are my 2 favorite members of the family.
Yeah, hell yeah. What about you, Eagle?
I would have to say Shion, because she's like a hacker, kind of techie gamer chick. You know what I'm
Yeah.
You like
saying?
them nerdy, don't you?
Gotta love that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But other than that, I'd have to say probably Futaba, just because she's got the Aikido martial arts vibes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Goki Shibukawa from fucking Baki. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, she reminds me
Mishima.
mostly of like Biscuit Kruger from
Biscuit
Hunter x Hunter.
Kruger,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like aesthetically, but the fighting
Nah,
style.
even inside that, I mean,
she's got the hands.
nah,
But
because
Biscuit is more
Biscuit will
just like
fight you
hands.
like that
The
too. Yeah.
Aikido is Goki
Oh,
Shibukawa's
sure,
technique from
sure.
Gaki.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he
yeah,
uses the
yeah.
momentum to throw. It's all throws, like
Yeah.
using enemies' momentum
Yeah.
and strength against them. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I think that Knox and I were just talking about like general combatability. We're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
we were for a
look at
sec
you in
there.
your frilly dress kicking everyone's ass.
I feel like
You're a
everybody
Biscuit
inside of the family has that like you know, kind of hidden side to themselves that is like not apparent from the surface. Like obviously Futaba is one of the older ones and you couldn't tell because she has like a 12-year-old's body basically, and then on top of that she's a gangster with the hands, which you just don't automatically assume from a character design like that.
She's designed to look dainty,
Yeah, exactly. Shinzo's like of the same, you know, kind of vein on the opposite side of things, where you know he's big and swollen, looks menacing, but is like a teddy bear, like more
Yeah.
softer than that. You know,
Is
that
it
he can,
Nanao
like,
the
underneath.
youngest?
Nanao is the youngest, but he's the biggest. Yeah, type
He's
shit.
the biggest
Yeah,
guy.
and Kengo is just like Japanese Roger from American Dad, basically, which is like I just love that about him. He's
Right.
like personality and his skill set is just like screams Roger from American Dad to me.
Mhm.
Fucking love that.
I'm
I
just
love
waiting
it
for
too.
him to be like have a martini, and he's just like, I do what I want.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Right.
for sure. I think my top three, and I was talking about it on Twitter too. It's been the same since the beginning of the series to current. My top three is definitely like Futaba, Nanao, and Shion for sure. Those are the three that speak the most to me. And they've gotten like everybody just gets like amazing focus, you know what I mean? And that just goes back to the slice of life aspect of it, where it goes into that like whole story in one chapter kind of flow, and
Yeah.
they break it down like Tayo's with Nanao this chapter, Tayo's with you know Shion this chapter, Tayo's with Shinzo this chapter, and then you get those while it's leading into one of the multi-chapter story arcs, like the front lines or the hunt down father shit, you know what I mean? Like any of the bigger
Yeah.
arcs that have taken more than one chapter to kind of tell that story, it's always a buildup of individual, you know, character building chapters, and just family building chapters, which it goes back to that like perfect narrative balance that I was talking about a little bit earlier, or perfect feeling rather.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. I feel I really like their power system. I like how it's just about murder, prowess, speed, strength, skill, whatever.
Yeah.
And then within that, there's like, we have a reason why we're on top. And then that in itself has its own subsection and like permutations of why these things are getting stronger and stuff, which I really like. Like the grandpa of the family, Ban.
Yeah.
Hilarious fight.
Love 'em.
Love that. Favorite fight. One of my favorite fights, straight up.
Yeah, dude. One of my favorite fights in the series is fucking like super recently, like Tayo versus Shinzo in the silver ranked spy exam. Like just like low key, that was just like such a banger
that
for
was
me.
so
Like
good.
the action, the art, the writing in that between like Shinzo and Tayo, and just like how it links back to like how everyone tried to help him individually in the house to get ready for the silver rank exam. Like all that shit just hit so beautifully. It was so, it like jumped out at me because that was like the first leg of the exam. By the time we got to Kyorichiro, I had a really good idea of how the story was going to progress throughout the rest of the exam. But that first encounter, like I had no idea what was going to happen or how he was going to get through it or whatever, and they just painted that beautifully from start to finish in that first little encounter. I was just like, damn, this is tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I really like that. Because the core focus is family, that
Yeah.
the deadliest threats that they've encountered are also members of like their extended family.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like I think that's really interesting because normally clans, like even in like Elusive Samurai, they're like, oh, you're part of our clan, the Nezumi clan. You need to, focus on their stuff, solidarity and stuff. Where I like that the idea that like oh, what's the phrase? Like Tayo and Mitsuki's bonds, Mitsumi's bonds are really tight compared to like say her and like some of their extended family, and it reminds me of this saying that the water of the womb is thinner than the blood of the covenant, which is
Yep.
water is thicker than blood,
Yeah.
or
Wow.
something
Or
like that.
yeah.
Blood is thicker
No,
than water.
it's the blood
Yes.
of the,
Yeah,
the blood of
the
the
blood of
covenant. No, it's the blood of the covenant is thicker than
yeah,
the water of the womb,
There
and
you
that's to
go.
say that the bonds that you form on your own outside of your family can be thicker oftentimes than the bonds that you have with your family that you were born with.
Right.
You know, which
yeah.
oftentimes
I
can
think
be pretty thin.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
speak from
yeah.
experience.
I think it's really important that a series that is so like focused on family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I butchered that.
Yeah.
Um,
No, for
but
sure.
like I
I
like
like
that a
that saying. I
family that
like that saying.
focuses
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
and like does acknowledge the fact that like members of your own family will try to trip you up because
Yes.
because they believe they're right.
Right.
Period. Not that they're a fucker, not that they're like a bad person. It's just that they believe that they are right and they are getting in your way because of it.
Right.
And I like that.
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's a nice, elegant undertone within the series.
Yeah, dude.
I like that it doesn't treat the whole Yozakura family as a monolith
Right.
because I feel like that's boring. Because then it's just like it's that idea of like us versus them against the world. But like, what if it's us versus us? I like that. That for me, that's more interesting.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like we
So
got
I
to talk about
found that
Mutsumi
really
and Tayo's relationship too. Like we have to focus on that just because I feel like that's like really well done. I'm not like really big into like romance series, so I don't have like a foundation of experience to kind of base this off of. But I guess one of the things that I'm kind of expecting, in a shonen series that has like an intense romantic element, is that it wouldn't feel this balanced inside of the relationship, and it wouldn't feel like this this good, I guess is how I'm going to say it. I'm expecting like damsel in distress, oh my god, save me because you're capable, and I'm like really the only one without powers in the group, and I'm cute, and I'm your wife, and you have to protect me. Like Mutsumi has her own capabilities too, you know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
are more on, obviously the less combative side, and like less tailored to helping the rest of the team with their spy related abilities, but like she in her like administrative role can flip the script pretty easily from Tayo's girlfriend slash wife to a competent area of this family.
The 10th
Head
head
of
of
the
the
Yozakura
family.
Yeah,
family.
like
Yeah.
you can feel that regalness that she needs given her position, but like nothing seems to kind of like outweigh anything else inside of her character. Like she's definitely there and cute and like wife mode when she needs to be, but then she's also like, hey, these are my feelings, they matter, this is what I want to do. And she's very she feels very independent while being a part of such a big collective of characters, you know what I mean? So like that's
Yeah.
awesome that it's
Um,
achieved that kind of vibe, you know what I mean?
I
Yeah.
feel like emotional agency
Yeah.
has been covered really well within their stuff
Yeah.
because, like, there were moments where Tayo was just like, we should do thing A,
Yeah.
and I think it's a good idea, but I don't want to do it if you don't want to do it. Like, hey,
Right.
I want it, you seem to kind of want this thing, but I need you to tell me
Right.
you want this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, whatever, we'll go with plan B, we'll go plan C. I'll think of plan D if I have to, okay?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and so, like, I love that they're maintaining emotional agency and,
Yeah.
like, checking in after a decision's been made and making sure that, like, what they're having is, like, an ongoing, enthusiastic yes.
Yeah. And it's
You know, and
it goes both
so
ways
important.
too. Yeah, like it's not
Yeah.
just Tayo being, dumb, macho, meat-headed,
Or
shonen
wishy-washy.
protagonist while, the wife is like trying to just act like, a wife or whatever. It's like Tayo helps Mutsumi physically and emotionally, and Mutsumi helps Tayo physically and emotionally. They care about each other's feelings, they care about each other's desires and wants, and they grow together. You can feel that growth together, really really strongly in the storytelling without feeling like it's taking away from any of the other themes that are equally established. You know what I mean? Everything just weaves together and fits together like a puzzle in the narrative. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? While
It's
while
like
being
all
able to focus on
incrementally
all of
leveling
them.
up.
What'd you said?
It's like it's all incrementally leveling
Yeah,
up.
exactly. You know what I mean? Like it's just like so cool how transparent the characters are. I feel like I know them so well in a little bit over 100 characters compared, or a little bit over 100 chapters compared to other stories inside of this demographic with an ensemble cast that tries to get a whole bunch of focus. You know what I mean? Like it just fits so well inside of everything that it's trying to do. And Tayo and Mitsumi specifically, they feel like the two focal points, you know, of the series, but not so much that the side characters feel like they don't matter. You know what I mean? So the balance that's achieved is honestly like stupid impressive to me. And it's like I've never read a story like this, and I want more like this. Wherever maybe Spy Family's got some shit going on like this in it. I don't know. I might have to peep. You know what I mean? If they're doing shit like this is very new to me.
I would say it's like I'd say it's more wholesome than Spy Family.
Okay.
Because like while Spy Family is very very cute,
Mm-hmm.
and you get a sort of like audience perspective where the audience and the little girl alone, because she's a telepath, knows the truth. It is very much a comedy of errors, and like both parties within this adorable family
Yeah.
are lying to each other. So like there's that level of hidden stuff, and it's just like, okay, it's very fun because, you know, we get to see the inside of their heads as they're racing to come up with like excuses to maintain this illusion.
Right.
But at the same time, like I think that Yozakura family is more wholesome because of, like you said, how transparent it is.
Yeah.
And how they're like, hey, we're gonna communicate our feelings, we're gonna find an actionable like goal that suits both of us. Like
Right.
like it, I feel like it reminded me a little bit of like the way they check in and stuff is how some people in like kink relationships, right, will double check with their partner, like, hey, you're down for this, right? Like this is kind of our general outline plan. Are you still down? Yes. Cool. All right. As they're going through, you still good?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Great. All right. Let's keep going. Like,
Yeah.
so like I think that a lot of like relationships fall apart when people feel like they can't be transparent, even with things that because they feel like what they say would disappoint their partner or put them off, or like say, hey, you know, I'm feeling this way about this thing. It's probably nothing, but I'm still feeling that way.
Right.
And like no one wants to be like, hey, I'm depressed, right?
Right.
Or anxious about this, or angry about that. And like, yes, it's very normal, but like people don't want to really like share about it. Like we all talk about like, oh, we want clear communication, but it's not easy sometimes. And I
Yeah.
like that Yosakura family touches on the whole thing. Like the hard conversations are the ones worth having sometimes.
Yes.
And that in itself is a struggle point, a point of tension, and like a overcoming one's own personal weakness to have a conversation to save or build up a relationship. And I think that's beautiful.
Hell yeah, dude. That was very well said. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Last couple things that I have for Mission Yozakura family this week, just going back to like the family dynamic of the storytelling. I like how you get pairings inside of the family in like every combination. You know what I mean? Like there isn't, you know, it doesn't feel clicky inside of certain areas of the family. You know what I mean? Like you'll get Nanao and Shinzo storytelling that show you their bond as brothers. Then you'll get Nanao and Futaba storytelling, Shion and Kengo storytelling. Like it's all mixed up so well to where you're like, okay, no, this is an actual family. It's not just the family interacting with Tayo and getting, you know, like they definitely focus on that a lot, but you also get like the other pairings just often enough to where it just feels so real and so organic in that way. And I really feel the family vibe when it's broken up that way. You know what I mean? Because it's probably so hard for the mangaka to like, maybe not hard, but I'm just like picturing myself trying to write a story like this. And it's like, man, how do you, you know, kind of format it and like lay it out to where every week you can give everyone like the perfect amount of spotlight by themselves and with one or multiple other characters of the family to kind of flesh out that family feel. And I feel like it just achieves that so beautifully inside of a story like Mission Yozakura family, which you have to take your hat off to Gondaira for, because I feel like that's really hard to do. And then the last thing that I had was the way that the overarching narrative comes back to the story and leaves the story, because we always get, like I was saying, those kind of like isolated stretches of storytelling where it's a whole story in one chapter focusing on, you know, slice of life character building inside of the family. And then at any point in time after you come out of that, it can go right back into the overarching narrative with Tsubomi and father or Tanpopo, and it always just seems to flow so fluidly from like one point to another. You know what I mean? Because there are those times inside of the story where when it does break away, you can't really tell. It's like American comics, you know what I mean? Where you can just start in a point in time. It didn't tell you how much time had passed from the last chapter to the next one. It doesn't tell you how much time is passing from the end of this chapter to the next one. You know what I mean? It's just like a moment in time outside of like the overall story where it's just giving you character work. And then once it comes out of that, it flows just so beautifully into the overarching narrative again that it's just like, wow, this dude is accomplishing, or this person, I don't know if Yondaira, I don't know what the situation with that is, but this person has just got that figured out and just nailed down so well. The series feels so planned, you know, and so organic. It's just fire in that way.
They detour masterfully.
Yeah, masterfully detour. Thank you.
Yeah. I like going back to the kind of the relationship thing with Tayo and Mutsume.
Yeah.
I just like the focus that's given on the building and development and strengthening of a young relationship where like you'll get those moments where Tayo is having these introspective, like thoughtful moments on like, okay, how do I balance having this relationship and like cultivating it with being a spy, being on missions every day, having these interactions, also going to school. Like, how do I balance these three things and like maintain health in all three areas? So like, I like that.
Yeah. And the comedy is like, so I'm just like remembering like the early comedy, like while we're fleshing out like the characters inside of the family. It's like they live this life all day, every day. So they can nonchalantly bring up some spy shit or like some dark shit. Like, oh yeah, these people died over here. Or we had to go in and like break, you know, everybody's bones in like this compound or something. And you always get like that little side comment, very tiny, drawn, like Tayo, like chibi Tayo, like reacting to like this because he's like such a fish out of water in the beginning. And like, it's kind of like we're him in the beginning, like coming into this family and seeing how they behave, like, dude, you motherfuckers are crazy, and it's so normal for them. So it works for like world building. It works for, you know, Tayo's character building in relation to the rest of the family. Whenever you get them interacting with each other and saying something crazy or doing something crazy, and then getting Tayo's fish out of water perspective, like superimposed text, like you know, in the bottom of like a funny ass comment of him reacting to, you know, these characters acting crazy. It's just like a perfect way to kind of like give you the story, show you what kind of world it is, show you what kind of characters his siblings are, while also keeping Tayo involved in some way so that you don't forget about him. So like that is just like all, I don't know if that makes sense or if you guys can, you know, if you guys know what I'm talking about there, but like in the beginning, you still get it a lot. I feel like even now, you know what I mean? Where you just get little reactions from Tayo, like, yo, are you sure you should be saying something like that? Or that's not normal, or, oh my, you know, like shit like that. Like little funny reactions from Tayo, like experiencing the spy world for the first time was just like something that was really good in the beginning.
I liked the one where it's like, it's a moment like Tayo is basically that moment, like arc when like in Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? Like Tayo is Zuko, where he goes with the gang, and each one of them he has like a heart-to-heart moment, and like understands them a little better, and then like gains something for himself through his association with that family member. Yeah. So I like that a lot. Like,
just thought of a big example during the silver rank exam when Tayo is facing Shinzo, and then you have the flashback of Shion, Futaba, and Nanao trying to help him by saying attack his insecurities. And Shion's like, this dude hates bugs. So like just introduce some of these like, you know, super realistic like bug drones that I manufactured or that I bought from somewhere, and just make him relive his trauma, and that'll give you the opening that you need to touch him. And Tayo's like, yo, that's like really mean, bro. Like, I don't want to do that. And then you switch to Nanao, and he's like, yeah, don't be mean like that. What we should really do is just slowly poison him until his body can't move anymore. And Tayo's like, that's even worse. You know what I mean? Like shit like that.
It's like Chidi from The Good Place. You know that's how that's worse, right?
Yeah, yeah, and then Futaba's like, well, another big insecurity that he has is that like he doesn't want to hurt his family members, so maybe overreact when he hits you and act like you have taken way more damage than you have, so that he freaks out for a moment and goes, "Oh my God, I hurt Tayo," and then you can touch him, and he's like, "You guys are fucking terrible."
Y'all are menaces.
Yeah, like little shit like that, like is just so good on the comedy side of things
Absolutely.
without taking away too much from anything else that's happening.
And then the fight scenes are just fantastic. Like, top-notch fight
Yes.
scenes, great, very clean choreography.
The choreography was just like so much better than I expected this series to have,
I had
considering
zero
what I knew about it.
expectations for choreography because I was like, oh, there's so much packed into this series. Maybe the
Right.
choreography is gonna be buns, whatever.
Yeah,
But then it
but
popped off,
no,
and I'm
it's
like,
gas.
what the fuck? I was like, holy shit.
Like in the
I-
frontline arc when like Tayo like runs into, I don't even know, like it was just such a
The gardener?
chaotic point in the action, and I just like remember this panel where Tayo goes to like block something, and then like they're about to take advantage of his opening, and Shinzo like flashes behind him with the gun, pop pop pop, and it's just like the choreography is so good for the kind of work that they're in, because it's very quick, very exact. You know, it feels like they really feel like spies or assassins or whatever when they need to. You know what I mean? I feel
They
like
sold
that's,
emotions.
yeah, exactly. Like they really, not just inside of concept and exposition, but inside of the action, like they really feel like they work like they work this job. You know what I mean? And like that's really impressive that he's able to do all of these things, you know, inside of his story, and just balances it all perfectly. It just feels so perfect to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
If that hasn't sold you on Yozakura Family, I don't know what else will, folks.
Dude, I'm assuming that anybody who is going to watch this segment is caught up in Mission Yozakura Family. I really hope that people don't see this as like a non-spoiler why you should read Mission Yozakura Family. But like it's just so hard to fit a holistic how do you feel about this series generally, and then go into like a full current chapter review. So it's like, like
we did our season finale. We gave you enough time to catch up, folks.
right,
Come on.
straight up. But yeah,
You knew
that's
this was happening.
yeah, that's all I had for Yozakura this week though. Can't wait to get into straight chapter reviews though.
Next time, chapter 112.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, with that, I think we can go ahead and jump right into chapter 169 of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yes.
Tokyo Number 1 Colony Part 9. And we start off the chapter with this awesome-ass color cover spread,
Beautiful.
which is commemorative to the movie coming out, I believe. People were saying in my reaction chat on Twitch.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Episode
We have-
0.
Yeah.
We have young Yuta here with his little, like, guy over his shoulder. And
That's
we
Rika.
also have...
That's his wife, brother.
Rika.
Oh, Rika.
Girl of his nightmares.
Rika.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
also
dude.
have Geto, not Kenjaku. Stitch is not on his forehead.
Right. Yeah. This is Tokyo
With the playful-
Metropolitan
with-
is before. Yeah.
Yes, with the playful cloud.
Yes.
Yes.
Dude,
Love
I
it.
love that 9. I love that 3-section staff so much. It's
Oh,
so
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I
I
love
like
whenever
the
that
little-
weapon is used in anything. That's just like one of my faves. Yeah.
Mhm. I also like the little microphone that has the similar like markings on it, as
Yeah.
opposed to our Bonito Flake Boy.
Right. Yeah. Because I think that that's what he was using to use Toge's techniques and like amplify them or whatever, because he's like shouting it through a megaphone. It's been a while since I've read Tokyo Metropolitan Magic Technical School, but I remember that. I should probably reread that pretty soon. But yeah, I couldn't remember if that was exclusively for the Toge technique or if that was just like the medium for his copying ability. I can't remember exactly. Someone in the comments remind me, but yeah, dude, I love this spread. I love the color palette on it. I love like the scratchy kind of texture in the background and the oranges with like the blood splatter over it. It almost looks like it's on a canvas, like a literal canvas, you know what I mean? So like that's always a cool, like grainy, like noisy effect that I love in art, especially art
I
like
like-
Akutami's, this like normally gritty. Yeah.
I like the saffron background to like make them really pop out and complement like this classical saffron robes that like Buddhist monks wear.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Really solid. This is a goofy chapter with a lot of cool abilities. Let me just say
Fuck
that's
yeah.
Yeah.
there's so much weird shit going on.
This man,
I'm really
Takaba.
liking Takaba a lot. Yeah.
Yo.
He's funny as hell, even though he's not funny at all. He's so cringe. I love him.
Yeah, it's like the just cringy enough in the comedy to where it's not like, oh my god, I hate this dude because it's so cringe, but it's just like just that levity. I don't fucking
No,
know.
he's
like,
just
what
one of
to
those
say.
overly enthusiastic, like Toto type characters that you just love to love. You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh shit, this guy. He's just he pulls you into his pace. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. This is definitely the goofiest character I feel like we've seen so far. I mean, like even considering characters like Toto, like this dude is off the wall odd, bro, and I love every moment of it. I have no idea what's good with this little fan thing that he has, but I do have an idea of how his curse technique might work, which I'm interested to see like how you guys kind of feel about that, right? Because like, did you have an idea for it too, Mello?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
okay.
So
Go first.
There was
Yeah.
so there was a moment on where he's like, "You want to know whether I'm funny or not, right?"
Yeah.
And here's a joke to impress your crush: "Marry me and be my Wi-Fi." He does that moment, and then on page 11,
Yes.
Reggie notices like he's fast. The cursed energy increased dramatically.
Yes.
So I think his whole point is that because he's a failed comedian, he has to tell a joke and have no one laugh.
No reaction, right?
Like a dead reaction, like dead silence, and like completely bomb. And so that cursed energy, that negative power, fuels him and makes him stupid strong.
Yeah, I love
but he
that.
has to tell a joke and make it bomb.
Yeah.
So like that's why he's like doing jokes like uh
1,000 years
like
of death.
1,000 Years of Death.
Yeah.
He knows that guy's not gonna laugh at that joke. He's just gonna be like, motherfucker, and he's like, good, keep making me strong. Like
Yeah.
I think that's his whole thing,
Hell
is that
yeah.
he has to keep telling jokes for his bit, right? Like
Right.
he's like, hey, this is my 30 minutes, which is interesting because he had the same line as it's not 50-50, it's
Yeah.
maybe 70-30, and we talked about how he's had got a power similar to Nanami
Sure.
that is keyed to his job, but he's a comedian, so he's got 30 minutes and he has to tell his jokes and it gets him stronger if he succeed, but he's a failed comedian, so
Right.
like that's where his cursed energy comes from. That's my theory.
I like that. It's very similar to what I was thinking. I think mine. I think I'm gonna go a little bit deeper on that
All right, hit
on
me.
that with you because yes, it's definitely very apparent in the chapter that like his curse energy is spiking in relation to the jokes that he's telling. But then if you go back to like his first introduction in chapter 146, when he comes out of his performance and he kind of like bombs, his like manager is talking to him. Towards the, let me just pull up the chapter here real quick, just so I can like quote it
please do.
properly. Yeah. So you have this dude with like in chapter 146, the last couple of pages, Buddy reading the newspaper with the high top fade. He's like, I don't dislike your jokes, Takaba. And he's like, Ken? And he's like, neither of you seem to understand that even guys who aren't funny can make it. And then Takaba's like a one-hit wonder type or something. And then dude's like, no, two types of comics will always be in demand. Comics who are funny and comics who think they're funny. And he says, which one are you? And then you have this like ominous, kind of, gradient screen tone effect in the background. And he's like, I'd say it's 50-50, but maybe it's more like 70-30. And this is obviously had the streets shook for a while, like thinking of Nanami and whatnot, thinking that maybe I heard some people say that he like inherited Nanami's technique in some kind of way, which I'm thinking is just what Gege wanted us to think for a while until he actually started doing things, like a red herring, which is really cool. But the way that I think that 70-30 split kind of goes into his current capabilities is that yes, when he tells a joke, if he gets no reaction and no one thinks it's funny, his cursed energy is going to spike, and because that's like one of the conditions of the curse technique. But I think that the 70-30 comes from whether he's actually funny or he just thinks he's funny, right? So like, for example, if he were to, at first I thought like he would just be dead to rights if someone actually did find his joke funny and he just wouldn't be able to do anything to them. That's like the counter is like at genuinely laughing at his jokes, and then he just barely has any cursed energy and doesn't get the boost that he's thinking, and then you can just take advantage of it that way.
Then he only gets the 30%.
I think he gets a boost no matter what. And I think that like if the joke lands, then it's only 30%. If the joke doesn't land, it's 70%. You know?
Oh, that's cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because I'm just picturing a scenario where he's so confident in his abilities because of how unfunny he is to most people. But I think that maybe he doesn't even know exactly how it works exactly, because I think that this is like a new technique for him. He's inherited this since the Culling game, just like fucking Higuruma, you know what I mean? So he's new to cursed energy as well. He's obviously not as analytical and as like critically thinking as a character like Higuruma is just inherently, because he's obviously just like a dumb comedian or whatever. But this is him just using the technique to the best of his abilities anyway. And I think maybe the fact that he doesn't know really all of the ins and outs of exactly how the curse technique works actually does make it stronger almost, potentially. That's a little bit farther out, there as far as like reaching for reasoning in things, but I'm pretty certain, at least right now, that is where that 70-30 split comes from, is whether or not they think you're funny for real or whether or not you just think the joke is funny, because otherwise it wouldn't tie back to the conversation that he had with his manager in his first, conversation, because he says there's two kinds of comedians, ones that are legitimately funny and ones that aren't but think they are. You know what I mean? So that is where I think that 70-30 split kind of comes from. And he's also very wishy-washy on like what the answer even is. So that kind of also fuels my idea that he doesn't even know all of the rules to this. You know what I mean? And whether or not that strengthens the technique or whether or not his character is going to grow into really understanding exactly how the technique works and that'll make him stronger, I don't know. But I'm feeling really confident that that's the 70-30 split there.
I like on page 7, even Megumi's just like, he reminds me of Toto.
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, dude, I love this guy's like language though. He's hilarious. Like, I think he's genuinely like, as a character, hilarious, because he's like, damn, what a tough crowd. Stiffs like you left your laughs in the womb.
Right.
He's heckling them. He's like, hey, you didn't laugh at me. I'm gonna reverse heckle you.
Yeah. There's another like visual like thing in the art that I'm noticing where Snooty, my homeboy, or our homeboy Snooty actually pointed this out to me, because I actually read this chapter with him in Discord when it came out on Friday in the fan scan. But he pointed out that like there are some panels where Takaba is drawn with and without the white lines on his left arm. And that could just be because, it's too far away and you just don't draw him because of perspective or whatever. But it does happen like multiple times throughout
on page
the
14,
chapter.
You get one like that.
Right away on page 4.
They should be drawn.
6 and 7?
Right away on page 4, you can see that he doesn't have the white lines on his left arm for the whole page. And then when he's powering up with his costume at stake, I gotta knock him dead, and then now the white lines on the arm appear. And then he's telling his joke, and then his power spikes, and then he drop kicks this dude so drastically. And then, what did you say? It was 14? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's a big one. See, this is not a mistake. This isn't like a perspective, depth-based, I just didn't draw it because the character's too far away kind of thing. Like, Gege is purposely not drawing these white lines, on the left arm sometimes.
And then right under it, there's a panel where they're drawn.
Yeah, exactly. So
shout
out to
weird.
Yeah, shout out to Snooty for noticing that. I have no idea how that like goes into the technique at all. But I mean, this isn't the first time that we've seen something like this inside of it. Like, Gege likes to leave little tiny visual storytelling cues like Haruma Shigemo. You know what I mean? Like how he had his technique literally written on his face, and we just like didn't know until the explanation was given to us. Or I think maybe somebody on Twitter might have pointed it out beforehand, but it was just like very sneaky. You know what I mean?
He's only got the lines when he's telling a joke.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Page 18, when he's doing the 1,000 Years of Death.
Yep.
Lines are drawn. Page 20.
Yep.
They're not drawn when he's jumping off the roof.
Exactly. So I think that might be an indicator of whether or not the joke lands, or no. I guess it's just whenever he's telling the joke, because it's not like they only appear after the joke.
And that's
so.
the two types. It's like the Nanami thing where it's like the two lines or something like that, where it's like the scale and it's just the two types. His bands represent the two types. Do I think I'm funny, or does anyone else think I'm funny? Boom,
Yeah,
boom.
yeah.
And then that's really cool because even on the one with when he's getting off the rooftop, even the leg bands disappear.
Ah, yeah, you're right. You're totally right. So wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is it just? Oh wait, no, because then on 14, only the arm bands are gone, but the
And
legs are still there.
page 13, page 12, when he's talking to Megumi, you can see that his legs don't have any
Yep.
things, right?
Yep.
He's saying, call me Takaba, this and that. He's
Page
not
4
actually
too.
making, yeah,
Yep.
he's not actually making jokes. Page 4, you can see he doesn't have it either.
On page 4, on the top right panel of page 4, he has it on the legs, but not the
Yep.
arm. And then the bottom left panel of page 4, he doesn't have it on the arms or the legs.
Yeah.
So like I don't
so-
know what these combinations represent, but I feel like we're on to something here.
I think it's like charge up or wind up because like you see because on top of page 4 when he's still doing like the pose where he's like I did no damage, the thing he's still doing the bit.
Yeah.
So like it's he's winding out from his bit where like the arm disappears first, the leg disappears secondary, and then so on and so forth.
Bruh.
So like he's transitioning from bits.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, talking about stuff. And the paper fan is very much an old school slapstick thing.
Ah,
Like,
sure.
It's the weapon that does the least amount of damage in Super Smash Bros.
Oh man, yeah.
It's just
Right, the
annoying
paper
to
fan.
get. It's just annoying
Yeah.
to get hit with.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
just the pa pa pa.
Yeah, like-
It's designed to make a lot of noise when you smack someone.
right. Yeah.
And so I love that he's using that. Like he's got that little classic like Joker Harley Quinn kind of thing where he's just
Yeah.
like it's funny and that's why it works.
Yeah. Dude, I love Gege, man. They're like, I could just feel like the fun that creating this character and like creating and drawing and making these chapters is probably for them, because it's like, man, it's all of this in your face comedy and like awkwardness and like weirdness, totally probably distracting most people from picking up on these visual cues or really thinking that there's any kind of indication of what this dude's technique really is, when it's just like so like right underneath your nose type shit, and most people probably just like wouldn't notice it on like a casual reading because they're just like so wrapped up in how goofy this motherfucker is, you know what I mean? Like it took me some like I really gotta put my sleuthing cap on for this type shit, and I just like love that inside of Jujutsu Kaisen.
On page
Oh, man.
18 and 19, on the bottom panel of 19, it almost looks like both of his legs are black with the white stripes when he's like kind of jumping up out of the
What page?
What page?
19 on the bottom, as Buddy's going smashing through the
Oh,
building.
as he's
after
like
the-
kicks the shit out of this dude.
no, it
Yeah,
was after the
Hasanuki.
1,000 Years of Death.
Yeah, but then he hits him with 1,000 Years of Death, and then he's like, "Don't mock me," and then he kicks him in the fucking face into the building. You're talking about that page?
Oh
Crumbles
yeah, he
him.
does kick him.
Yeah.
So,
what
yeah,
are we talking about
Rumbles.
here?
It looks like it almost looks like both of his legs are black now with the white stripes.
Oh yeah. True.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Oh, so that means that his reaction may have been negative enough that he just put him into power mode.
Yeah, like super
like-
duper
like-
power mode, yeah.
Oh man, so it's like half and half, 50-50, and then now it's like 30-70, where it's just like, yeah, that joke bombed. That
Yeah.
guy hated
Yeah,
you.
depending on
Like,
how
cool.
much they hate the joke, your power
That's
kind of
amazing.
scales with that, yeah.
I love that. That's so meta, and I love
Yeah,
it.
that's like
I love
really
it so
fucking
much.
good. Good
So
spot,
much
Eagle.
potential visual storytelling in this chapter, man.
I think
love
this
it.
is definitely like visual, like hidden, like the art is telling us a lot more than we realize. I want to say, like for sure,
Dude.
like on purpose, like definitely. That this is not a mistake. This is not on accident. This is not anything like that. This is 100% Gege doing this.
Are we taking over-unders on whether, like, Megumi kills Buddy next chapter or what?
I think Reggie's...
He's going to take out Reggie.
Yeah, obviously is kind of like my answer to that, but I think that we're really going to be impressed by Reggie at the end because he's being built up like such a bitch. You know what I mean? Like such a, background scheming, lackey using, like motherfucker that isn't all that tight. But then in this chapter, you start to see like what his capabilities for real in close quarters combat. Like after he drop kicks this motherfucker, Megumi takes that opportunity while he's distracted, reaches up from the fucking shadow, tries to like rip his dick off or something. I don't even know what he was trying to do.
He's not ripping his
he was like, what else he grabbing for?
Not
like
him,
his legs trying to...
Nah, it's dead square in the middle of his shit. His shit is dangling and he's like, I got that. Oh, I'm about to... I don't know what he was playing in, but it looked like he was trying to grab something.
His whole scrotum out.
Yeah. I'm leaving here with something.
I'm taking your receipts for that. Organs, my G.
Yeah, no, but the reason why I brought that up, even though we're kind of talking about Megumi grabbing dick now, the reason why I brought that up is because like this was like the first time you actually saw that this motherfucker can like do shit at close quarters. Like he is capable because he noticed this like super secret blind spot attack, from the depths while he's distracted, and he still had the reaction time to get out of the way. So I was like, okay, nah, this dude can do some shit already. You know what I mean? And then at the end of the chapter, it's like, we're getting full power Reggie next chapter. And you're like, okay, I think he's about to stunt for real. And we're really going to see what he can do. And it's going to be really impressive. And then Megumi's still gonna clap him. But I'm just like...
Reggie's got some cool powers. He's got the utility belt out of those receipts.
Yeah.
And like... He created previous chapter, he created gas, which accentuated the exploding body parts. And then
oh yeah, so like his receipts kind of like Gain in in Greed Island, Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah.
You have the card representation of the physical item, and then you say gain, and then it turns back into that physical item from the card. So maybe these receipts kind of work like that, to where like whatever the receipt purchased can then be gained from the receipt and turned into that thing.
Because he definitely created gas out of nothing. He used the shell because we saw the shell receipts, remember? We saw the shell receipts, and then he turned it into gas to splash Megumi. But there was another thing, a twofold
part. And that happened
to this.
in Hunter x Hunter specifically. He had gasoline in one of his fucking cards, and then he gained
did
it.
Card, the glass thing of gas, and smashed it over
Genthuru so that he couldn't use Little Flower. Oh my god,
dude!
This is a Hunter. This is a direct Hunter x Hunter reference right now.
It has to be. But the other part, but Reggie also has a twofold ability, because there was this moment where he and Hazanoki had umbrellas out of nowhere and floated down from the third floor to the ground like Mary Poppins. So the items that he summons don't technically obey the laws of physics.
Right.
So it's not permanent.
Wow.
What if we get literally his ability is called Gain, and he's literally saying Gain on?
No.
And when he pulls out a receipt and fucking gets a scythe or something, he's coming at him with all types of crazy shit, you know what I'm saying?
Dude, I'm waiting for him to just start throwing receipts, and receipts starting to burn themselves, and he suddenly has a kitchen knife out of nowhere, there was a series called Murim Login where this guy had an inventory ability, and so he defeated a swordsman by having the inventory pop the sword into his hand as he was getting stabbed, so the guy ran into him and had a sword pop into his chest.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, yeah, that's cool. Especially now that he's able to create umbrellas and gasoline and stuff out of thin air.
If these receipts really do work like that, Megumi's gonna take this motherfucker to high diff or extreme diff probably, and he's just gonna be butt ass naked by the end of this fight. All of his receipts used, he's just gonna be ripping them off, trying everything that he can, you know what I mean, to stop Megumi using all of his fucking receipt dress, and he's just gonna be butt ass by the end of the fight, out of receipts, new way, type shit.
I'm waiting for Megumi to do a punch to his throat, or his like his like collarbone to like break his collarbone, just like, "Ugh," and like the receipt turns into a loaf of bread, like cushions the impact or something
Oh,
like that. That'd be funny. And he's like, "Oh, I need to start making more shit."
yo. Dude, I'm so excited for that. I'm so because it's going on break. The whole magazine's going on break. We have to wait like 2 weeks before the continuation
Yeah,
of all of these
15
stories,
days.
man. Fuck.
Ah, man, that's okay. But Hazanoki, his compadre,
Yeah.
the guy with the mullet and the suspenders, is probably like his coolest minion. Straight
Yeah.
up, the coolest minion.
Yeah.
I love that his body parts straight up explode, and he's using what Megumi said. It was a reversed curse technique to regenerate.
I don't know
So
if
he's,
that's like what's actually going on here though, because I remember that
but
I
it
was
is his eyes.
right, and I remember that like when we were on break when these chapters were happening, so we didn't actually have a conversation about it in this kind of setting. But I remember asking on Twitter, I was like, is he using reverse before this chapter came out? I was like, is he using reverse curse technique, or is the regeneration actually a part of the curse technique itself? Because I was like, this is really high level reverse curse technique happening right now, if that's the case. Like this dude is pulling his eye out, and then like immediately after he throws it and it explodes, it's grown back again. Like that's really quick for such traumatic damage. You know what I mean? I don't think that
But
this
like,
dude is that tight.
it's working.
It is working. I was wondering like maybe, you know, the trade-off for the healing is the pain of ripping your limbs out. So because you have to endure, you know, the pain of ripping your eyeball out, ripping your teeth out, ripping off whatever body part, then that's the trade-off. And then as soon as you throw it and it explodes, it just automatically regrows, kind of like undecrease in Undead Unluck. So it kind of like works like that conditionally. Like it has to hit a mark and explode before it grows back or something. But I just don't want to believe that this dude is that tight, that his reverse curse technique is like that advanced and like that strong, because like we're seeing this on a really high level. So,
Well, I mean, Higuruma was a really advanced curse technique user, but
That's
he was
right.
also a genius. But he had domain specifically
Yeah.
that made it different.
Sure.
Hazanori, his condition is probably I can only regenerate that quickly to wounds that I inflict myself.
Some shit like that, yeah, because
Something like that. Because you can see it, page 15, you see a tooth and an eyeball. If you zoom in, you can see that he's got a missing eye.
Yep.
Because you can see him on page 14 reaching up towards his face. He's
Yep.
got two things, he throws them. And on page 16, he's missing his stuff, but you can see on page 17 the bleeding eye. When he gets smacked in the face with the fan,
Yep.
you can see the missing tooth. You can see the regenerating eye in the panel below.
Right.
So within 3 pages, he's able to regenerate his stuff. And
Yep.
if you look at his teeth on page 19, it's healed.
Right.
So
So,
it's
and
like-
so I was thinking like maybe Megumi was just wrong and he just assumed that it was reverse curse technique, but maybe it's reverse curse technique no matter what. Like that's just the healing mechanism,
Yeah.
and whether or not it's like active or passive is the difference. You know what I mean? Because you know, at first I was like, he's probably just guessing based on the information that he has, and you know, he could be wrong, and then we'll get a full explanation of exactly how the technique works later, and it ends up not being reverse curse technique. But I think it is reverse. I think it is RCT no matter what.
Yeah.
And whether or not he's actively, you know, charging up the energy necessary to like focus in on the wound and heal it, I think is one possibility, which I'm thinking is not the case because I just don't think this dude is that tight to where he has that good of reverse curse technique. But, or it's reverse curse technique still, but only on the passive sense based on the conditions of his jutsu shiki or his curse technique, and him hitting the conditions of enduring the pain, throwing it, it explodes, then it can regrow just naturally, passively using reverse curse technique, but not like actively charging it. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But yeah, man,
I'm
I don't know,
digging
man.
it.
This shit is fucking wild right now, bro. Like such a funny chapter with so much power system depth to it. You know what I mean? Like I just love that about Gege and how they're able to balance those things so well.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, I think that's about all I had for this chapter, though.
Yeah, I think I'm good too.
Loved it.
Loved it.
All right. Well, with that, I think we can go ahead and get right into chapter 223 of Dr. Stone.
Tony.
0.
We're here.
0.
Color
Oh.
page
We
is
get this
fire.
beautiful color cover
Yes.
of the Rocket Squad. Of course, Senku, Kohaku, and Mr. Stanuri.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Stanley.
Hell yeah. You want to know why I think he's going? Obviously,
it's confirmed. Yeah.
No.
He's the only person okay with murder.
I know that he's going, but I'm saying the reason like why he's going is I think because there's got to be a character that can die in this mission, and it's not gonna be like Riichiro Inagaki is not gonna have anybody in the main squad die.
Yeah.
So I think that like I think Stanley is going, one, because he's obviously the most capable, but also because someone needs to not come back from this trip, and it'll probably be Stanley. Yeah.
And you can see, like, even in this color page, like, it feels like the color palettes on Senku and Kohaku are very bright, colorful, like, and he's in the back just very, like, kind of grayscale, like, looking very somber and melancholy.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my god. Is his death gonna end up being, like, petrified and floating off into space so they never unpetrify him?
Something like that. Or, like, you never know, like, what kind of threat they're going to run into on the moon once they confront Y-Man. You don't know, like, what kind of, like, setup that he has on the moon. You just know that he's there. So, like, that is entirely mysterious and will be kind of hard to guess. But, like, whatever it is, whether he's petrified and floated off into space, whether he's blown up, whether he's, you know, like, whatever, you know what I mean? I think I'm very strongly believe that Stanley does not come back. Stanley does not come back from this.
Rip Stanley.
Yeah. Which is, like, kind of sad to think about, you know what I mean?
He's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
I normally hate pretty boy characters, but Stanley really warmed my heart by not focusing on his looks at all and being purely competent. I was like, yes, this is a great subversion of what I can expect.
Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
it.
Plus, he's just, like, so cool, and, like, this chapter, like, you know, really kind of built him up in relation to the rest of the main cast a little bit, because you have Ryusui going like, you stole my spot, you better make it count, and he's like, you already know what it is, you know, like,
it is my G.
Yeah, it's like, man, and then you get like the super sentimental moment where Zeno is like, you can't smoke in space, but I got you some chewing tobacco in the shape of cigarettes to kind of like, you know, ease that. It's just building up sentimental value
wholesome
for Stanley. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because he ain't coming back. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, I'm so confident about that right now. Because it's like, I'm sitting here going like, man, Ryusui kind of got hoed, bro. Like, why would you deny him his spot that everyone knows he should be here for? You know, and it was written well. You know what I mean? We got some like great introspective stuff with Ryusui and his insecurities and his incompetence and how sad he is that he's not going despite being like the character that wants the most things. Obviously, his whole character is about desire, and this is like one of the things he wants the most. So you take that away from him, you have to have some sad, you know, psychological storytelling there for him. He overcomes that, he deals with it, and then kind of moves on, and then Stanley fills that gap, and it feels totally fine. But like, yeah, how do you do like a kind of final quote unquote arc where the stakes are the highest they've ever been, and then everyone just comes back like totally fine? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, there has to be some kind of, you know, shitty situation that they have to deal with, you know, irreversible one, you know, that they have to deal with in this mission. So you input Stanley there, and it just feels so well to think about it like that for me.
And I think it's fitting that like Stanley would be the one to die. Because he is a soldier, because he has been willing to kill.
Yeah, he's got bodies already. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like, oh god, there was a line from a series that kind of like shaped me as a 14-year-old kid. And the series was, those who bring violence to others invite violence to be brought back on them by the implicit action of bringing it.
Yeah, we see that all the time where like a character,
and I love that,
racks the bodies up in their past life, and then now they're a cool character, but then you know, all the chickens eventually come home to roost, you know what I mean? And that karma comes in and eventually gets them, and it's always like a sad point. I don't have any examples off the top of my head, but like I see that all the time in fiction, I want to say.
Vinland Saga.
There you go.
Thorfinn-san!
No, in the dad, in Thor's dude.
Oh yeah,
yeah, Thor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Askeladd.
It's just fun to say.
Thorfinn.
Yeah, no, for real,
man. No, I was so mad at. Oh man, Ocelot. Fuck Ocelot.
I know, dude, but like I love he's like my
Taurus,
favorite
I
character.
was so mad about Taurus.
Dude, that shit hurt so bad. I was definitely on some fuck Ocelot.
I was like literally like,
you gonna do this to me?
Years old and I will swear revenge.
I was so hot.
Yeah, I was so
hot.
there
Fuck
too.
Ocelot, like
Yeah.
man.
But yeah, it's
Taurus,
Rip Stanley. It's Rip Stanley for me right now, like
Yeah.
until proven otherwise. And I honestly like I don't know, you never know what's gonna happen on the moon, but I feel like if nobody dies up there or like something tragic doesn't happen that's like irreversible, that's gonna maybe take away from the stakes.
You're just a gloom and doom ass
motherfucker. I just don't think you build stakes. Just don't build. No,
just a bloodthirsty.
No, I'm not. Just like
No.
I just don't like
No.
not capitalizing on the stake building that
So what
that
if I am
writers do. Yeah, you
bloodthirsty?
like
I mean,
don't create that big of a
I'm
threat
wrong.
if you're not going to
that's why Chrome was like, "No, we all coming back, man."
He did say that. He did say
I
that.
feel like, but like,
And you want
he
that
was
to happen,
doubting.
but it shouldn't.
He was doubting. Like,
Yeah.
Nox isn't the only one.
Yeah.
Luna's doubting things. You know, Luna's doubting things. And they're like, hey, man, and Senku's just like, don't worry. The chances of us dying in space are only like 1 in 20. It's
Right.
fine.
Right.
And they're like, wait, what? And then even Gen has to just straight up lie to people and say,
Yeah.
it's going to be fine.
You wanna
It's
know-
death flags all around.
Yeah, you want to know what'll work even if they don't kill Stanley? Still just leave him there, petrified, on the moon. Like, we have to bounce. Stanley sacrifices himself in some kind of way to where he's just left back on the moon, petrified. And then there you go. You know what I mean? Everyone's sad. They come back like, where's Stanley? And then you just get like the shaking the head panel, you know what I mean? Or something like that. As long as the characters feel the loss, cool. And then you go back and get them, you know what I mean? A really crazy moment, like 50 years later or some shit when they finally go back to get him and Zeno's old as hell or something, like, I got you, bro. Like, I came back for you type shit. Like, whatever. Even if you don't kill him, like, you can still make the stakes work. You can still make that consequence
Put that
happen.
in the epilogue.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, something like that. There's a lot of ways you can do it. And I'm sure Ryuichiro Inagaki is the brilliant writer that he is. You know what I mean? Like, he'll figure it out even if he doesn't kill him. But I really think that's something tragic and seemingly, at least, irreversible.
Oh my
should
God.
kind of happen.
That would hurt me so much. Just like Stanley coming back from a rescue rocket and he just comes across like this town square. It's got a statue of him in his prime and a wizened old man is just sitting on a bench in front of it and it's Zeno.
Yo, I can
And
see
I'm just
it.
like, it hurts me. It
I
hurts
can
my
see
pulse.
the vision.
I picture Stanley like coming to from the depetrification and Zeno is just like smoking a cigarette, hands it to him.
Hey,
He just lit it.
yeah.
Hands him
I was
some
gonna
cigarette.
say I don't think he's gonna smoke, but
No, he's not smoking it.
yeah,
but he
just lighting it.
Hands
Yeah,
it to him. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. Hell yeah, I can see
Oh
that.
man.
He's like, oi, Aibo, partner. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe. Yeah,
What's going on, Aibo?
Dude.
Yeah.
yeah.
But this is like this chapter
Or he says,
meant so much.
Yeah.
Because like there was this like the part where they're counting down, right? It's like the 10, 9, 8, 6, 7. And Senku says on page 15, it's always so quiet being petrified. Can't hear a damn thing out there. Can't even feel vibrations.
Yeah.
And write down the countdowns at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And he's like, I counted, for like a billion so many 370 years worth of seconds.
116
3,700
427 million.
Yes, there we go. Thank you.
520 seconds.
Yeah. So many.
But I love that idea. It's like, yeah, by myself, I counted those many seconds, but with everyone working together as a civilization through our collective science, I'm counting down in 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's such a great metaphor, bringing that back from the beginning of the series and
Yes.
just like chef's kiss,
Yeah.
bow tightened.
The writing during the countdown was so fucking good, man. Like, oh my god, like I
It gave me
literally had
chills.
chills. Like, I was reading, I was like, oh my god, we're here. It's counting down. They're gonna blast off. I'm gonna see a double page spread of this rocket blasting off at the end of this chapter. And I just remember being like, oh my god, while I was reading it, bro. Like, it's just such an emotionally potent last couple
this is
of
like
chapters.
the third time I've gone through this chapter, and I still got goosepimples.
Yeah, dude.
I'm just like, whew.
Because it's like, dude, like, this is the invention, you know, the kind of feat that we've been waiting for ever since we first started getting development for Senku and like what he wants to do ever since childhood. He's like, I'm going to the moon, like, soon. You know what I mean? Like, and then we get all of that rocket ship building flashback while he was dead after Tsukasa killed him, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Like, all of that stuff laid the foundation for why this is so emotionally resonant in this chapter right now. And they keep going back and kind of like hinting at this and sprinkling more development, you know what I mean, onto it, like leading into it. It's just been so beautifully built up to, and now we're finally in the air, bro. Like, oh my god, we're on the way to the moon, bro. Yeah. And it's like everybody's
Valkyries playing in the background.
What'd you say?
Like the song of the Valkyrie, Ride of the Valkyries playing in the background.
Oh no, I was hearing fucking Elton John, and I think it's gonna be a long time. Yeah, till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home.
Oh no, I'm a rocket man. Rocket man,
burning out his fuse out here alone.
Oh,
Project Idol coming soon. Let's go.
Dude, wait a minute, dude. Like, what are the chances? Hold on, bro. Like, in the anime, bro, if they play that song, I doubt it's possible. But like, we already have like an American singer that like had a whole like American song in the anime, like, or English song.
That
like,
was Vivian.
Vivian Goldberg or whatever her fucking name is. I can't remember.
Lillian, not Vivian.
Yeah, Lillian. Yeah.
Goldberg.
Yeah, dude, that would be some shit, bro. That's definitely
Lillian Weinberg.
Lillian Weinberg.
What's wrong with us? Jesus Christ.
Whatever, dude. How long ago was that? And it's such a fucking forgettable character. Yeah, it's a important plot point. It is an important plot point, but like, who cares? Like, but like, about her.
I think it'd be really interesting if they had Lillian's voice character or someone who's like sounds like Lillian doing that song.
That'd be insane.
As they're going up into space.
They're definitely not going to do fucking Rocket Man, but that's just like, I'm like picturing it in the anime and I'm just like, I want it, but it's not happening. But that's just what I heard when I was like seeing the rocket blast off. I was like, shit, Elton.
Yeah. And we finally got the meeting between Kaseki and Joel.
Yes.
The toast between the master engineers, bro.
And then they start working together and they're like, oh my god, this is a match made in heaven.
This is god tier engineering right now. They're just like
I love their dichotomy.
Yeah.
Like, because like
young prodigious young buck.
Joel is young but represents the old school, whereas like Kaseki is old and represents like the new school, you know?
Newer school than he's used to, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like I like that kind of fusion. I'm just like, and like you can see Kaseki's age in this page 11. Yeah. I'm just like, oh, you ain't gonna live that much longer past the epilogue.
Nah, because they keep hitting that they're gonna fucking like keep petrifying him and making him younger and shit, which is like a moral quandary, obviously, that they have to explore. But like that's in the cards. Like that's how the Medusa works. They've already talked about how every time Kaseki's been petrified, which is multiple times now, he comes back a little bit more limber, you know what I'm saying? A little bit more nimble, a little bit stretchier, you know what I mean, than he was before, you know?
Oh my god, that'd be horrifying. You know what'd be really fucking weird is if they have like this, like, it would have to be like a bonus blooper thing, that they have a thing where someone's like, yeah, and then they like petrify themselves way too much, and they're like a teen, and they're like, fuck.
Yeah. Little 0.1 chapter.
Yeah, nah, it's good though.
Yeah, man, dude, this shit is so good. I'm like so ready. God, every time I get to like this last page, like in Jujutsu Kaisen and now Dr. Stone, I'm like, man, in 2 weeks before we get the next chapter of this, they're like such hype points in all of these stories, and it's just gonna be a fucking nightmare waiting for the next one.
Oh man, but like, can we just appreciate just the simple beauty that they have for like this cape that's depicted on 1819?
Yeah,
Yes.
Love this.
Like,
Uchi
it
spreads are
reminds-
always so drastic, bro.
So good.
Even the ones
Like,
that incorporate like photographs, like a lot of them do. Like he
this
makes
seems
it
so
work.
peaceful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They've got the ship on the side to observe everybody where everyone else is. That's their command tower.
Yeah, bro. It's
Beautiful.
lit.
Oh my god. So solid. Also, Rip Stanley.
Yeah, rip the guy, man. Like I really, man, thinking about that like makes me like really sad. But like as soon as I started this chapter, I was like, wait a minute. Oh no. Yeah, I was
Not like this.
shit. Yeah, not like this. But whatever, man. Chickens come home to roost, man. That karma gonna
Chickens come over. Get out of here. When
Killers
Stanley-
get killed, you know?
Yeah. We'll see.
That's
though.
all I had for Stone this week. I think.
Yeah, I
Pretty,
think I'm-
pretty straightforward chapter. A lot of just imagery and nostalgia and
Yeah.
feels.
Beautiful
Clean.
writing and art as usual, but like
Yes.
super potent writing.
Last chapter, I
countdown.
love the quadruple page spread of like the all the progress culminating to the point of the rocket being
Yes.
completed. Yeah, that was so
Yeah,
fun.
that was so good. Just like a small note
Yeah.
on this, like, is triumphant as this chapter was, I loved like the peanut gallery just inserting like personal doubts that are very real and very human.
Absolutely.
And even though they're like, yes, we're succeeding as a story, it makes complete sense for these people to have doubts as they're succeeding.
For sure.
Oh yeah,
So,
I
love
touched
that.
on that in the previous episode. I thought for sure that was going to be a point of stakes where people were going to be like, "Yo, they could blow up on launch. Like a lot of shit could go wrong."
Yeah.
So oh fucking hiccups, deep one too that like hurt my chest.
Ooh.
I personally was like really happy to see that in this chapter, even though
Yeah.
it was kind of like alleviated by Gen, you know. But like
Mhm.
that was gratifying for me because I wanted to see that. That it makes sense, like you said, that
But
they
it-
would be worried.
Yeah.
Because even like we've seen that many times in modern day rocket launches where it doesn't go so well.
Yeah. And even though it
Dude,
was kind of
I-
alleviated by Gen, like after the worries were kind of brought up, like you can tell that they're still going to think and feel and believe those things until everyone comes back safe. You know what I mean? Like they don't.
You
just,
can tell
those
that
thoughts don't
Gen-
just go away. Yeah.
I mean, you can almost tell that Gen really doesn't even believe himself. Like
Straight
on
up.
this bottom on this bottom panel, page 9.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just fine. He's like leaned down, like
Yeah.
Fur on
Tied-
his brow. He doesn't
tied-
even believe it.
tied you next to him with like the blacked out eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Everyone is so anxious and so
Melancholy.
worried, and they're going to feel this way. Like they're gonna wear a face. They're gonna wear like a certain exterior, but until these motherfuckers come back, like they're gonna be biting their nails, crying constantly, and just so worried for these people.
yeah.
And they should,
Yeah,
because
but I
they're a
mean-
fucking family. But yeah.
They should.
Yeah.
They should. And it's like, honestly, like I still remember the first time I saw like a video of the Challenger shuttle
Yeah,
exploding, and it made me feel something
Everything.
awful.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I was just like, and every time I like see it, and like I know it's done. Oh, it's done. It's over. It will never personally affect me. But every time I see it, and I'm just like, oh,
That
no.
happened. Oh.
Oh,
But yeah, I don't
I
know.
digress.
Yeah.
That's all I had for Dr. Stone.
Yeah, I think I'm good too.
same.
All right. Well, with that, I think we can go ahead and get right into chapter 338 of My Hero Academia. The story of how we all became heroes, part 1.
Yes.
I like that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And
'Cause
we get
it's
this nice cover of Deku and Aoyama looking
Yes.
melancholy.
Yeah.
This is the first time he's looked attractive.
Yeah.
Straight up.
It's
This,
like-
is, this is
yeah.
straight up. I never thought I would hear the words out of my mouth. Hey, I'm looking pretty good today.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's just
Fucking-
like in such a bad spot. Like, just like
You know
sucks
what?
that it has to be like under these circumstances. But I never really cared too much for Aoyama before this anyway, so whatever.
Yeah, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I like the parallels his origin has, like his secret origins, so to speak.
Right.
Like, I dig that.
Mhm.
I like that it kind of compounds the whole thing, because, like, his parents seem... He's rich. He's a rich boy. He comes from a wealthy, affluent family, and they used their connections. They paid money to find All for One.
Yeah.
How fucked up is that? That's hilariously bad.
Yeah. I like just going into what you were saying about the parallels, obviously, between him and Deku and their upbringing. It's like Deku didn't have a quirk, and all he wanted to do was find out how to be a hero anyway, despite that, and his mom had given up on him. Whereas, like, in Aoyama's situation, he was like, yeah, this kind of sucks, but, like, I'm not Midoriya about it. And his parents were, like, the Midoriya, you know what I mean? They're like, no, we're getting you this quirk. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're making this happen, you know? So it's cool narratively like that, but it also just shows, like, different situations of people dealing with the same issue in this society that's been built up so well in My Hero Academia. It's like, these are, like, if these are two stories, like, what are the other stories for characters that aren't a part of this story, like, in the background, you know what I mean, for quirkless kids?
I mean,
you want to know what's
Gentle
crazy?
was sad.
Yeah, what's up?
You want to know what's wild about the Deku situation too is that, like, he went to the doctor. What if his mom got the proposition and was like, nah, you know what I'm saying? Like, what if the doctor was like, you know, I can maybe hook you up with somebody who can give your kid a quirk. You
And
know
he
what I'm saying?
was directly affiliated. Like, we know that Eggman dude was working for Buddy. So, like, yeah,
Dude,
that's definitely a
So
possibility.
that's just a
there.
deeper level of understanding that Deku.
I just
could
kind of
possibly
thought of
have with
something.
this.
Right, yeah.
So they were like, hey, Deku's not manifesting his quirk, and they visited the doctor, who's like their regular doctor, right? And Deku's dad is never around.
Right.
What if Deku's dad was a guy who crossed AFO, got killed, and they stole Deku's quirk as a child?
Because the dad fucked up or whatever.
'Cause
Like,
the dad
Deku was
fucked
supposed
up,
to
like-
have a quirk, but, like the dad did some weird shit and blew it.
The dad tried to do some, like, got some second thoughts and tried to be a hero about it. And so, like, he's like, yeah, no, we'll take your kid's quirk if you don't work with us.
Yo.
And then he still he still crosses them. He's dead because Aoyama's like, oh, this guy, they showed us, they killed a guy.
Yeah.
Like,
That could be, like, the last, like, laugh of, like, All For One, like, when the juice really starts going, like, in this final conflict where Deku thinks he's mentally prepared for anything that All For One can do at this point, because we got Lady Nagant, we got, just his overall, like, shitty influence on the world in general, and how, like, crafty and shisty he is in that way. Deku's ready for that shit. We have now Aoyama, where one of his best friends has now betrayed him. Like, that's all linking back to All For One. Deku can be like, I know everything that this dude's gonna throw at us now. Like, I'm mentally ready for this. And then All For One's like, yeah, that's why I took your quirk when you were a kid, though. And now Midoriya's right back to, like, mentally broken.
I'm the reason you're like this.
Why you say it like that, though? He said, that's why I took your quirk when you were a kid, though.
I don't know. That's just, like, how I pictured it when I was thinking about it, I guess. But, like, I could totally see that
Foe's
being,
bizarre
like,
adventure.
yeah, it's like the last thing he does as, like, something that was just totally not predictable, like, from Midori. Midori is all in his convictions. He's like, I'm ready to fight you, motherfucker. It's over. We got you dead to rights. And then he just says that to him, and now, like, that throws him off kilter mentally enough to where it shifts the tide of that in some kind of way. I could totally see that happening too. That would be wild as fuck. Or maybe Deku's dad was essentially Aoyama's parents and was like, my kid doesn't have a quirk. I gotta go get one from All For One. I'm about to go try to work with them. And then, like Mello said, tries to be a hero, has second thoughts, and then All For One just kills the dad because of that before he could even get the quirk for Deku.
Oh, you breathe fire, right? I have a client that was looking for something like that.
Yeah,
Yoink.
yeah, type shit. I definitely think that is a really, really strong possibility in one way or the other. For someone like
I feel like it might, like, maybe not the hey, you're only quirkless because I made you quirkless. Because part of me is like, oh, that's too perfect.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But it would still make a lot of sense, though.
It would make sense. It would still track.
Yeah.
But I still think that he would hit him with something like, oh, yeah, no, your dad was heroic, too. You lasted much longer. And just like, wait, what? It's like, oh, yeah, oh, rattled you. Got him.
Yeah. Yeah, we never really got to talk about the traitor reveal because we were on break, obviously, during that. Like, the last chapter I think that we talked about was the I have friends everywhere, and then it kind of like showed Hagakure. I think that was the last conversation that we had on camera. But I just love like the red herring bait and switch on that Kohei that Kohei hit us with. It's like, oh yeah, you thought it was Hagakure, but no, she just was the one that saw that it was Aoyama. You know, so I love that because, like, man, when you're building up to a fucking traitor reveal that everyone thinks that you, as the writer, forgot about, and then you finally start giving it to them, and they're like, oh, man, funny. This reveal is terrible. Hagakure, no one cares about this, bitch. And then it's, like, not her, you know what I mean? Like, that's just,
dude,
like,
it was the funniest thing to see Twitter react to that. I was like, gotcha, bitch.
Trolled the shit out of y'all. Yeah, like,
he's like, epic. He's like, you think he didn't have a Twitter?
No. Kohei was watching the streets and said, oh, yeah, watch this.
Hilarious, bro. Moving back to kind of the events of the chapter here, we start off with, like, the interrogation scene. All the teachers and like police like kind of saying like, okay, we gotta take this kid into custody and really like put him under protection. Kids kind of making like heartfelt proclamations of like, you know, Aoyama, you're not fully bad, like we can kind of steer this. It's actually the kids who put an interesting spin on what they can do, have Aoyama manipulate All for One's intel to their advantage in a sense, and then Aizawa, who was cool to see, he's like in the hospital on the Zoom call, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's like, oh shit, I might have a plan. They're talking, they're spitting kind of. Hold up, cover their ears, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we don't even get to hear the plan.
But... I know. I can't wait till that's like revealed. Dude, it's obviously gonna be revealed through the action probably once the heat turns up, which is always just a great way to deliver secret conversations that are had off panel.
It's gonna be like right in the middle. It's gonna just be inserted somewhere where we least expect it. Like Deku's gonna be about to do something, and it's gonna flash back to the conversation where he's like, "This is the plan.
Yeah. When this happens, you do this. When that happens, you do that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
D.
I always like that.
Okay. I like that because it all comes from that moment where like, hey, how did you not tell him about the raid in Camino? And they're like, we had no way to contact him. He just came to us and we gave him a report, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, oh. Yeah. And then Midoriya is just like, hey, you know, we gotta influence their choices. Like,
right. So like you report back and say we're gonna be here at this time, and then all for one shows up, but they're ready for him because he told them to. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like what they were implying, I think. Like in this first little part of the conversation is like, well, now if Aoyama is working for us now, but still in contact with All for One, then he can set up the ambush basically. And like they were like, no, it's not gonna work like that. It's too easy. Like this kid broke many laws. You know what I mean? Like we gotta get this dude out of here. And everyone's like, nah, man, like just like it's our boy. You know what I mean? Like let him fuck with us. And I just love how the actual like law still matters, even though an important character is going through something that everyone wants to forgive him for. Society is just that well fleshed out that, you know, these police officers are like, no, it doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. I know you like your guy, but like, no, you know what I mean? So like, that's cool. It's just like such an emotional back and forth where you're like, is everybody just going to forgive this kid because everyone cried a little bit? And then like, that's it. Like, no, like there's levels to this shit. You know what I mean? And I just love how it just isn't that easy in My Hero Academia.
You know what? It is the ideal court system where it's not that easy.
Everyone's forgiveness of Aoyama like makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this dude betrayed you and like caused you guys a lot of trouble. Motherfuckers could have definitely died. You know, like, but they didn't. And like at the end of the day, this is your boy. You sympathize with what went down. It's not as black and white as just he made a decision to betray you and he sucks.
He was under duress.
It's levels to this shit. You know what I mean? Like in real life, I can see the forgiveness happening, you know, this way too, just because of how long you've known this person, everything that you guys have gone through together. Like you want to just forgive him, you know what I mean? So
people
like that makes sense on the character side of things, but then the judiciary coming in like, hey man, he's got to be processed, he's got to go to court, he's got to do some jail time. Like this is some
he might get a slap on the wrist, but he has to go in the system.
Exactly.
Jail time.
Maybe not jail time. I'll be forgetting their kids and shit, but like you know what I mean. Like, like they got to come in and say like, hey man, like y'all are in high school, not the rest of the world, type shit. Yeah.
Because they could do like a slap on the wrist for Aoyama. He's not getting expelled, but he is on like a watch list. and then his parents get like charged for like quirk trafficking, basically.
Yeah, there's
Because they're
definitely going to be
grown-ass
real
adults.
consequences.
They definitely
for this.
broke laws to do
Yeah,
that. Like if quirk marriages are illegal, quirk trafficking is way illegal, especially
Yeah.
since it's one dude.
Yeah, if there's no like legal consequences for this, like shown in like any way, then I'm gonna feel like the story's just like the societal aspect is of how fleshed out the world building has been up to this point is going to start to falter because they're just being too soft in the narrative for the sake of characters that we care about. And it's like, no, we need this to have like real ramifications, like real, legal ones, you know what I mean, in order for the world to still feel real and organic the way that it's kind of been built up to. So but yeah.
Man.
Can we move into the dorm part of the chapter? What were you gonna say, Mello?
Oh, yeah, no, it's about the dorm area.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we move into the dorm part of the chapter where they're kind of like, it's post-plan. They're talking like, okay, we got our plan now. We better prepare. Like, a couple of them are going to go make some tweaks to their costumes.
Yeah.
And then, we kind of get the resolve panel where it's like just a small panel of each of their faces all pieced together around the, we got this shit.
Yeah.
This one floated through Twitter like crazy, and I was trying to avoid spoilers. I was like, I'm doing my best. I'm being good.
Yeah.
But I like that. Like people were clowning on them, like, oh yeah, we're all gonna be looking super serious all the time.
And then Minetsu's
like,
just like
okay,
not
whatever.
threatening at all, and everyone's clowning this page because it's like, what the fuck? Mineta, y'all really trying to make him look like a thug right now. It's not working.
He's hard, man. He's resolved. He's ready.
He is. It's just funny. Absolutely. I'm
Hey,
with
man.
it. Like, I'm with the shits here.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I'm all for this right now. But that was just funny to see on Twitter that they were like,
Motherfuckers is so lame. Get the fuck out
He's
of
a
here.
little lame kid, but
Yeah.
I you know what? Mineta's still a part of the team,
Yeah.
and that's what's important. Okay.
Hey, I love all my Twitter mutes, man. Let's go. Come on, man.
yeah.
Twitter mutes, I love you, man. Don't get it
Nah,
twisted.
I'm
Come on,
getting into it.
oomfies.
I'm trying to spread my wings. I have to get used to it.
Yeah.
Need to
And then we
learn
move
the
into
ins.
the best part of the chapter, you know what I'm saying?
Uh-oh. What's that?
Hatsume
Oh,
Mei.
Dude, I fucking love her, man.
Rolling up on the development studio, you know what I'm saying? I just can't wait to see what kind of like tweaks and upgrades she makes to Deku's costume. She's
Absolutely.
developed her skills more. He's developed his more.
Yes.
She's gonna be like, what's up with your current situation? Like, what you got going on? He's gonna be like, well, I gotta get this, and she's gonna be like, oh,
Yeah.
let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Come out with like 20 gadgets, like, here you go.
Yeah, here's the Fajin gadget, here's the Black Whip gadget, here's the
Yeah.
fucking float gadget, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just down the list. She's gonna have a fucking field day.
Yeah,
She's gonna be like, you.
he's
really
gonna
are
come
the
out
perfect guinea pig.
equipped.
Yeah, it's
know what I'm
gonna
saying?
be
Hope.
lit.
Gonna come out
She's
kitted.
like, I've never had someone equip 20 of my prototypes before. You really are the perfect guinea pig.
Yeah, straight up type shit. You know what I mean? Because it's like, man, when was the last time that we saw Hatsume? First of all, I don't even remember how long it's been. But like Eagle was saying, like she's developed her skill set a significant amount. Surely, we know what Deku's been going through, the conversation that they're going to have, and how their newfound capabilities inside of themselves are going to complement each other when they start working on these new gadgets. It's just going to feel so good, and I cannot wait to see the drawings of the designs for everyone's new shit. It's going to be so tight. Oh,
It's gonna be so cool.
I'm like so ready.
And I feel like Hatsume's equipment is probably grown in leaps and bounds because she's probably been working to maintain like this the mega school, maybe a little bit of the shuttle system. Like she's probably been brought into the loop of that, and they've had the kids doing their thing, defending the school from like outside things, rescuing people on missions to bring people back to the school, to the fortification.
Yeah.
So she's had field tested prototypes
Yes.
going out there that are like, hey, the world's a DMZ right now.
Yeah.
Just demilitarized zone. Here's some stuff, brass tested, field approved, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck yeah. I love Ida and his reaction because like the door blows up and he's like deja vu, and then like he just barely has a reaction to the fucking door blowing up, but then Hatsume lands on Deku with titties and face. He's like, oh, titties, face.
I am a 15-year-old boy.
Yeah. That was just
Also,
so funny to me. He's such
I
a
love
boy
how
scout. Yeah.
Deku is trying to be serious the entire fucking
With the titties
time.
in face, like, nah, we got shit to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get sidetracked by nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna blush.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Dude, I love that. It's hilarious. She's probably one of my favorite supporting characters
Yeah.
because she's so crazy and like I liked because she was the vehicle for the introduction of support items, which
Yeah.
I really enjoy. Because like I don't know, like what's Batman without his utility belt, right?
Straight up.
Like
Straight up.
classico. So
Yeah.
like
And you have to
I
have, you
get-
know, James Bond movies always
Q.
have, you know, the
She's
dude.
Q.
Yeah, you know, that's his name. Yeah, Q. Yeah. You gotta pull up and show all the new gadgets, explain what they do, give them to the hero. You know what I mean? Like she fills that role, and that's always a great role in anything like
Yeah,
that. you know
Green
what I mean?
Arrow without his like combo quiver, like
Yeah.
like you
You
gotta
need,
have gadgets.
the Punisher and Microchip. You can just go down the line in the West. Like they always have
Spider-Man
that
and his web
counterpart.
canisters.
Yeah, type shit. Yeah. You always need the guy in the chair. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Man,
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
love that stuff.
I think that's all I had for Hero this week, though. I don't know. Man, did we touch on everything? I think we did for the most part.
It
Yeah, I
had a
think-
lot of build up in the previous chapters of like, hey, why did you betray us?
Yeah.
This is what happened. We were
Yeah.
threatened. It's under duress. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I like that Aoyama kind of has like the correct emotional response. They're like, "Oh, don't beat yourself up," and he's like, "No, no, no. Like Midoriya was in the same boat as me, and he's a good guy about it, and I'm a piece of shit."
Yeah,
I'm like,
straight up.
no, you know.
Kohei's like just always so good for like emotional character writing between you know the people that have been built up so far. You know what I mean? So that shit's always going to slap. Like whenever we're away from action, you know you're just going to get amazing character writing for whatever situation that they're in. And a situation like this where tensions are super high because you're coming out of a wild, crazy reveal about one of your best friends betraying you. You know what I mean? Like this shit was handled beautifully, I want to say, and that's always like gonna be spot on inside of Kohei's writing. So a lot of emotional shit to chew on the last couple of chapters, but like all just at the end of the day, big setup for the coming conflict, which is being set up very well in my opinion.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see Deku's finalized look where he's done being edgy. You know,
I think
where
I
he's
think-
not
yeah.
being like Jason from Batman, where he has like the mecha Batman suit
Oh,
with the
sure.
claws, like early '90s, just like
Yeah.
the golden like clawed Batman
Yeah,
suit.
yeah.
It reminded me of that when Deku was like going solo. So I was like, I really want to see like this new.
Yeah. Final
Classic.
form Deku. Yeah.
What is a Deku look like?
Yeah, straight
How
up.
much more All Might is he gonna be like?
Oh yeah, maybe. Man, I wonder if we will see any hints of All Might in his like final look or next look at the very least. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool to think about too.
I want to see what it's like.
Hell yeah. But yeah, that's all.
For sure.
I think I'm good on Hero.
That's about all I had too. All right. Well, with that, I think we can go ahead and move into the last chapter of the night, the Piece de Resistance, chapter 100, chapter 1035 of One Piece. Zoro versus Kingu.
Let's go.
And we actually get a cover story. We're
Yeah,
going
dude.
into another limited cover series, number 25, Escape Whole Cake Island. We're going to get the story behind how Germa and everybody escaped Whole Cake Island, which I'm ready.
Yeah, you need this because you were like
I
not
need this.
fucking with this when Jinbei
need
came
this.
back.
Like, what the fuck? How did my mans get out? You know what I'm saying? With
Yeah.
Big Mom, the Yonko Emperor,
Yeah.
big bitch on his heels.
Yeah.
What? Like, she was literally coming in. All
Right,
let's
yeah.
go.
You were. I remember
Come on.
you were super tight. Like you were so positive that Jinbei did not make it out of this.
And Germa apparently made it out too, so everybody made it out clean when they were supposedly the last line of defense against the raging Yonko. Like,
And I
come
think
on.
Oda knew, like, man, motherfuckers are not gonna know how this makes sense. We gotta give it to him in the cover story. Let's go. We're
Man,
here. We'll see how it
something
goes. But you never know because Pound just like survived scot free in the cover story. You know what I mean? In that one cover page that we got, and that kind of shook the block up a little bit too. It's like, what the fuck? Pound lived. What the
Yeah,
hell?
but Pound just kind of like did his thing against Oven and then skirted off and like
Yeah.
rode away in a boat. Like,
Yeah.
it's something different about that, and if like you're literally like Big Mom is like at your neck and like you just get away, like
trying
you
to
just
get you out of here.
just swim away, like.
I mean, ain't nobody better at swimming than fucking Jinbei, son. Come on,
but she's got the wave, bro. She be on his heels. Like, come on now. There's just too much to explain.
We gonna see.
Like, too much reasoning why it doesn't make sense.
His dust.
Too much to go to lend to why it doesn't make sense. But I don't want to spend like a whole lot of time on this.
She has a devil fruit power. She's not gonna follow him underwater.
That's right. That's right.
True.
That's right. But anyway, getting into the
Germa.
chapter.
Like, the fishmen Germa, what's up?
We gonna see. It's focusing on the Germa escape, so we might not even see Jinbei. You're probably just supposed to know why Jinbei got away because he's the fucking best fishman in the whole shit. And Big Mom and her whole team is devil fruit users. So what? Yeah. Whatever. But Germa escaping is a big deal that needs an explanation, I guess. So that's fine.
Yeah. I noticed that all the ships include snails, so I was wondering if the snails submerge.
Oh.
No, they merge together. Like.
Oh.
I
don't know how it works. Whatever.
You remember they merged together?
I don't remember that. Nah.
Yeah, they were like a giant amalgamation of snail ships.
Well, there you go.
I believe you.
That forms the Germa kingdom. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah, there we go. I think I do remember that. Yeah. But yeah, man.
But we start off the chapter with King, or not King, but Queen, you know what I'm saying, out of there. Sanji kicks his big ass off of Onigashima.
Off the map.
Dude, no. He straight up gets him, like, the buffet combo of beatdowns.
He beat the brakes off this motherfucker, bro. And it reminded me of, like,
in the previous chapter.
Reminded me of, like, a Sanji versus Kurobi beatdown, son. Just mutton, collier,
he said, yo, what did he said? He said, whose chivalry did you say wasn't worth shit?
Yeah.
Boo, 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 bah, boo, bah. Yo, he hit him with a fucking,
all the sound effects out of here.
Hit him with the whole menagerie of the fuck.
Love it. Get this motherfucker out of here. I was tired of Queen's dumbass. He did what he had to do and got scraped.
Especially in the anime. Queen's voice actor is so trash, bro.
I haven't really been watching that.
Just laughing like a... He just laughs.
Man. I do like the fact that Queen contrasts so much with King. And the fact that, like, Queen is, like, pro-human experimentation. Whereas King is just like, nah. I don't give a shit.
I came from that. I don't like that at all.
You're looking at me dirty. You're gonna rat on me. I will kill all of you in this room.
Right. And that's probably goes into because like King and Queen always be like at each other's like throats. You know what I mean? Like, and before we get like this flashback for King, I'm just sitting there going like they're bad guys. You know, even if they're on the same team, like. Pretty often like don't usually tend to like each other, and that's like a weakness that the heroes get to exploit or whatever, is that they don't work together. They're not a real family. They're not like super tight like that, so you just kind of like charge it to the game in that way. But like what you just said, Mello, makes perfect sense for like why King and Queen like kind of have that rivalry, because King comes from human experimentation and Queen does human experimentation. So that's a pretty cool thing to think about. No cap. I really liked this chapter, exploring King, even his like strange like olive like laurel branch Mike Tyson ass tattoo. Like don't know what that's all about. It's like very reminiscent of like Shandians or whatever, right? From like Skypiea, they all have like face tats or like just body tats in general all over the place, you know what I mean? And they like have wings and shit, you know what I mean? So it's probably just like all that kind of shit, you know, just...
Do you think the Shandians are like an offshoot culture from like the core Lunarians before they all got scattered?
Yeah, because isn't there like 3 races of motherfuckers with wings? Or is there only like 2, I guess, that we know of so far? Because I could totally see it being like neutral, good, bad, or whatever, inside of the race splitting in that genome, or you know, whatever it's called in biology or whatever, the family
genus,
there we go.
The feline genus.
You have like, you know, dark angels, light angels, and then like I don't know, maybe there's only just 2, but like I was just like thinking about it like that. I was like, yeah, it's probably an offshoot in that way.
Man, that was
I
pretty
can't get
cool. I
over
did.
how fucking raw King looks without his mask,
The
bro.
design was
Like, I
drastic
was
already.
literally geeking over this shit in my reaction. Like, I'm like, yo, King looks so fucking raw.
Yeah.
The white hair, the motherfucking the face tat, the like the like the Victorian prince, you know what I'm saying, the collar.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fire. He already had one of my favorite character designs in the whole bitch. And then you take the fucking mask off and it's just amplified.
He's even drippier.
Yeah, even drippier. Yeah. Dude, someone said
Drippier.
some super tight shit on Twitter. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can remember this. Someone was making a comparison between King and Katakuri and how they both have some kind of thing that they're hiding in their face that gets taken off. The insecurity is revealed in one way or another. They attack their subordinates right after because they saw the thing that they had been hiding. You know, Katakuri just did it because you saw, but King kind of kills him afterwards because they said that they're going to tell on him, basically. So there's a difference there, but like it's still the same because as soon as they reveal their face, they attack their subordinates. And then the tightest thing that the person said was that, but when they're defeated, they say 2 diametrically opposing quotes. King gets defeated and says, Kaido's going to be the fucking pirate king, though. And then Katakuri gets defeated and says, are you going to come back here and beat my mom's ass eventually? And I just remember being like, oh my god, what a thread. This is so funny and cool and holy shit. Yeah.
I do like that parallel, though,
Yeah,
because
it's
it's
tight.
like Kaido and Big Mom. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Or something,
Because-
yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean...
Like, were you saying
this-
that, like, they have sex, or were you saying that, like, Kaido
No,
and Big
no.
Mom, comma, and then, like, fuck?
Yeah,
Yeah,
comma,
okay.
fuck.
Okay,
Comma,
I was like, hey, because we
Nah.
talked about that, too, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, dog, that ain't me. That ain't me.
Yeah.
She's obviously adopted.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah. Or no, I think she really do be hooking up with motherfuckers and having real kids. I
Big
don't
Mom,
know.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
All of her children are birthed by her.
Yeah, birthed by her. I don't think she's bringing anyone in like that. I think she's actually out here smashing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's forcing motherfuckers to smash.
And then Kiko I just remembered that
Death by
Kiko
Stitch,
said some super tight shit one time about why she looks so attractive in like flashbacks and like wanted posters or whatever. And it's like, what happened to you? How were you so hot? And then now you're like, you know, you look the way that you do. And I think Kiko, what he said was, what if she never looked hot? And that was just like her advertisement of herself to other pirates to make them come try to, you know, get at her because she's bad or whatever. And that's how she like racks up these relationships that allow her to birth these combinations of, you know, royalty or specific races or whatever, so that she can just like attract you over to her kingdom and then get you in the bed. Because it's like, if you throw out like how she looks on the wanted poster for real or whatever, then they're gonna be like,
she was really banging out here, man.
yeah, I know, but like, no, she was definitely really banging, but like, just like the way that Kiko like positioned that, I was like, damn, that would be like so
Dude.
crazy if that was a thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
would that be a side effect of her devil fruit ability, where she's like maintaining so many ghosts and spirits that it's like pulling on her and wearing on her like being?
But,
You know what I mean?
Maybe,
Like,
I don't know.
I mean, like, you know how, like, this might sound like really shitty, but
Yeah.
like, there's certain people you look at them and I'm like, you're a bad person,
Yeah.
and it has begun to poison you and show on your face.
Oh shit.
Like Steve Bannon.
Hold on, let me look this up. I can't get the face. Steve Bannon, let's see.
Steve Bannon. He was Trump's political advisor.
Oh, say no more. I don't even gotta look this motherfucker up.
The guy's like a neo-Nazi.
Uh oh.
They called him the Lenny Reichenstock of modern propaganda.
Oh yeah, this dude looks like he sucks right
Yeah,
away. Just
no,
like dead eyes.
He looks like a Darth Sidious with gout.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he looks like a son
Damn.
of a bitch right away. I hate to judge
Yeah.
people on first glance, but
I hate to judge people on
I got a little
appearances.
background for him anyway right before, so I don't feel as bad. But
yeah, but like, there's some people out there that like, even if they're like objectively like attractive, sometimes you can just see it on their face, and I'm like, something inside you ruined your outside somehow. And
Yeah.
even though like nothing's physically changed,
Yeah.
I can see it.
Like an aura
And
thing.
so I wonder if that might be a case for Big Mom or something
Maybe.
like that.
Something like that. That's something to think about for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah.
Could it be? Maybe.
Yeah, guess we'll find out eventually. Maybe, who knows? But dude, I love the choreography in this chapter, bro. Even
So
though
good.
it's not like all that. A lot of it is just a bunch of parries and you know what I mean, like montage style like shit. But I just love just seeing Zoro fighting in a sword fight. You know what I mean? Like it's getting down to like the bare bones of it. It's getting towards the end. It's just attack after attack. Really cool positions and drawings, like at the bottom of page 8. After he comes out of the flurry and he's like upside down, like blocking, slashing, like all this shit is just like really fucking cool to see. I feel like this is what I've been waiting for inside of Zoro fights, you know what I mean? And they've been fighting for a while now, but like just maybe it's because of the events of the chapter where I'm like really starting to notice how hard these motherfuckers are going here. But I just like seeing the Zoro techniques, man. It's what you wait for in Zoro fights, bro. And we got like a lot of techniques that I had completely forgotten about. Like he goes into this fucking Yakodori, I think is like what it is, the bird dance. Boom, like underneath, slices him upwards. I think the last time that we saw this, it looked like way different. But this is the one where he fucking puts the two swords crossed with like the one in his mouth straight up. And then when he starts to like roll and spin, and then like the pattern of the cuts that he leaves on you resemble like crow's feet or like bird's feet or something. That was something that I always really liked in like the Oars fight in Thriller Bark, because you got to really see it on his big ass body really well. Maybe that isn't bird dance, and maybe it's like something else like related to crows, maybe, now that I'm thinking about it. But either way, like these stances and these attacks like are just so reminiscent of earlier One Piece, because I feel like it's been so long since we've seen these attack names. So it's like nostalgic and hype at like the same time. And even even the last move that he does is like a 3-sword version of the attack that he used to beat Ryuma at the end of Thriller Bark, when he went into like Kaien Ryu, whatever the fuck it was, you know what I mean? And he had his hand on the forearm and he like slashed him with the fire or whatever, like the fire aura or whatever the fuck it was. Like, I'm pretty sure that's this move, but just in 3-sword form with like advanced conquerors on it or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is just like so cool to see.
I think the Dragon Damnation is what he used on Ryuma.
Yeah.
I really enjoy on page 11 the Purgatory Onigiri.
Yes.
Because I literally have a die that has the 6 like that, and I was like,
that's
it's one of my
awesome.
favorites.
That's
It's from a game called
cool.
Never Going Home. It's just so cool.
Hell yeah.
But it reminds me of that. I like the little 6 there.
Yeah.
And then there was weird thing on page 10. This is a difference of translation, right?
Okay.
I read a scanlation prior. But when he's like, "What's your name?" "Albert." "You're strong, Albert. From now on, you're king. Stay under my wing. I won't let anyone else have you." Which seems weird because, like, Kaido is offering him freedom as opposed to exchanging one cage or a master for another.
Oh, sure.
In this translation, in the scanlation, it was like, "Albert, that's a weak-ass name. Nah, you're strong as hell. You need a strong name. From now on, you're gonna be king."
Yeah. And then what does he say after that? That's like, is there a difference? Because in the
I
official,
that's basically what it was in scanlation.
Oh, I was
don't
looking-
really,
okay.
I'm just riffing off the top of my head because
Sure.
that's what I remembered as. But it's just like, nah, Albert, you need a tough name. You need a strong name.
Yeah.
You know, King. That's a great name.
I'll
You
go
can
look
do
at
that.
the. I'll go
And
look at the
I'll be
difference
as
right
like,
now.
and don't you worry, I'll be king of the pirates.
Yeah. I actually want to look up this difference now, because this does seem like one where you might get a way harder line in the fan scan, because you're right, because in the official he does say, "Stay under my wing, I won't let anyone else have you," which does kind of imply like you went from one cage to another, or one master to another. But if he's offering him freedom, then like you might want something else. There we go. "You're too strong for a name like that. Call yourself king. Stand by me, and I'll never sell you out."
Yeah, there we go.
That's slapping way harder for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. But yeah, man, that's like kind of like a really big difference, I want to say, actually, now that I think about it, just because of the first thing that you said about the official translation kind of implying like, yo, I just freed you, but you're mine now.
You owe me.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I didn't do a good thing for free. You owe me. This is an exchange of services.
The fan scan is like, stand by me and I'll never sell you out. It's probably like linking back to, you know, King's trauma of how he ended up here on Punk Hazard in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, he was probably sold the fuck out. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, they came and snatched him up, and he's like, I'll never do that to you if you roll with me. Yeah, this fan translation is way better.
It would tie to the previous thing, or like, man, wasn't his bounty like 130 million berries? And he just immediately kills them. Yeah. He's like, no one's selling me out, period. Right. No one. So, like, I thought that went harder, and that's what made it stand out to me.
Yeah.
I like that they finally figured out the trick to his like invincibility, because like
real quick before we move on to there, while we're staying inside of the flashback, I didn't know you were going to transition out of it that quickly.
Sorry.
But no, all good. I just wanted to make a comment about how I'm so excited for the continuation of Kaido's kind of like flashback story, because his dialogue in his flashbacks are kind of contradictory to like what he says to, you know, Luffy. Or I don't even remember who he was talking to, but he was talking to someone, and he was like, dude, eventually these motherfuckers are going to sell you out. Pirates always do that. Whenever they got a chance and you're no longer useful, they're going to fucking throw you to the wayside.
To the Akazaya 9.
Ah, okay, to the scabbards, right. So he said something like that, like in an earlier chapter, where he was like, pirates don't do this friendship shit. Eventually it's going to get to a point where it's going to make more sense to sell you out, and they're going to fucking do it. But then in these flashbacks, he's like, no, it's all about loyalty. I'll never sell you out. We're riding till the end. So like, it's got to be, there has to have been some point of trauma and betrayal in Kaido's life, probably with the Rocks pirates, maybe. Now that I'm thinking about it,
he seems young in those flashbacks. Like, is he young? Still has idealism and hasn't had that like burnt out of him?
I don't know, but that's just gonna be like such like epic character writing for Kaido that I know Oda is just gonna like hardcore deliver on. Like, I cannot wait for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to the fight, I think it's cool how Oda introduced, like, you know, a win condition inside of Zoro's analysis of the fight leading up until this point, because it's like, man, I didn't know how Zoro was gonna pull this out, and if it was just the same fight that we've been had the entire time, and all of a sudden he just said, fuck it, best attack, Shishi San and beat him, I was gonna be like, I don't know about that.
Respects me.
Yeah, but getting this kind of you know, not loophole, but just like this finding out
caveat.
The weakness. Yeah, the caveat. There we go. I say that fucking word all the time. I don't know why I couldn't fucking think of it. But yeah, finding the caveat in his fighting style. It's like the flames are there. He's faster but weaker. Flames are gone. He's more durable but less attack power. Like, that's really cool. And that's like right on time to introduce without it being brought up before, because it's just like a realization that you have after fighting with someone for so long. Like, that felt really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did anyone else notice that King's ultimate attack is shaped like Kaido?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, nice loyalty. Like, I like that, and then a nice little foreshadowing for what's gonna happen to Kaido, I think.
Yeah, we never really get too much of, like, you know, any kind of like Hunter x-esque exposition for why abilities manifest the way they do according to certain characters, you know what I mean? Like this, it being in the shape of a dragon, like in other systems with other power systems, or in other stories with other power systems, like, that are a little bit deeper and more fleshed out than like devil fruits and hockey and whatnot, you might get, you know, an explanation as to why your ability manifests the way it does based on your personality or whatever. But for this, it's like, was his fire always in the shape of a dragon that looked like Kaido, or does he shape it in this kind of way because he rolls with Kaido? You know what I mean?
I think it's out of respect.
Out of respect, which makes a lot more sense. But I just wish that One Piece was the kind of story that kind of gave you that specifically sometimes. You know what I mean?
Like a little confirmation nod, like, hey,
I'm doing this because I fuck with Kaido. You know what I mean? Type shit. I mean, you don't really need it, but it's just like something that I thought about, like, when I'm looking at it, like, why does it look like that specifically? But yeah, that's tight. That's super tight.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, I definitely love the choreography through this chapter, throughout the fight. Love Zoro's like deduction of, you know, King's abilities and what's going on with his body. Love King's ability. You know what I'm saying? Like sacrificing, being able to kind of trade off between durability and defense and like speed and power a little bit.
Right.
Reminds me of Achilles in Smite. He has a passive where you can take his armor on or off, and like it will give you either defense and health or speed and power. So
oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Love Achilles and Smite. But yeah, that's just cool, man. Because it's like I don't know. I don't have the perfect memory on One Piece, but I feel like caveats like these aren't like introduced all that often as far as like hard rules and conditions on ways to beat your opponents. It's not ever really like about that too much inside of like One Piece. I feel like it's just like eventually you just get the determination, or you get the the little boost, the that you need to kind of just like take it home, and it's more about like the emotional character writing or like the narrative situation behind the clash that kind of matters more, so you don't really need it to be too technical in the explanation of fights like you would see in like a Hunter x Hunter or a Jujutsu Kaisen, and it works in One Piece. But then whenever it does decide to go a little bit deeper and give you a little bit more layers to the conflict, it always feels really good in One Piece. So I mean, I enjoyed the shit out of this fight, even though I do kind of think that these fights between these Yonko commanders should have been or could have been a little bit longer, and I would have liked that, because I'm just like remembering like how long the fights in like Enies Lobby were, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, Oda's trying to get this shit wrapped up, you know what I mean? So it's like, maybe it's like doing all of this, and then the anime is going to fill in the gaps for choreography. Obviously not going to introduce any new writing maybe, but like it'll probably just make the fights feel longer in the anime, since there's just like so much more to that medium.
Oh man,
yeah.
If I was in, like any part of decision making in the anime, I would be stretching this shit out.
Yeah, but I mean, people be complaining about that too, though. At the same time, so you got to really like make it count if you are going to add time.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like actually put like good amount of like production value into it if you're gonna extend it out.
Right. Yeah. But I don't know, man. I'm excited to get back to Luffy and Kaido, which I'm sure is where we're going to be going pretty soon after this.
Big Mom though, still chilling.
Oh yeah, Big Mom's still chilling. That's right. We'll probably go there. I remember like in some kind of like interview or whatever, Oda had like, I saw it on Twitter, and it was like a translation of like him saying something like, "Keep your eyes on Luffy. Luffy's up next going into this new year. It's about to be Luffy time. Think about the hero. Think about the main character. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be flashy. I can't wait to draw the conclusion."
He was like, "Oh, you're a Sanji," and it wasn't until like late in the year. You know what I'm saying? So he'd be on bullshit.
Oh, true.
Hey, COVID's got us all running on Vegas time.
Something
Can't
like that.
be helped.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's all I have for One Piece, though, man.
Yeah, me too. I think that's about it.
Really cool chapter.
Fuck yeah.
Well, that'll do it for this week's coverage of Weekly Shonen Jump. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did, be sure to slap a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well for more fire-ass weekly content. Also, comment down in the comment section down below. Let us know what you thought of this week in Shonen Jump. If we missed anything in the discussion, or if you just wanted to talk about anything with us, let us know down there. As we said before, take a look in that description box down below where you can find links to any and all of our individual social media accounts like Twitter, online communities such as Discord, audio listening platforms to consume the podcast upon, as well as places to support the podcast like our online shop or our Patreon. So, with all those words said, this will be another fantastic episode of Project Manga Podcast, the first episode of Season 4. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm your host, Eagle.
Nox.
Mellow Yenis.
Sarabada.